Hey Gleebooties, it's Cullen. Just a friendly reminder to all our U.S. listeners to please vote. It's more important than ever to take part in our democracy and have your voice heard, so we at Gleeboot just want to remind you to please vote this year. Thank you, and now back to the episode.
Last week on Gleeboot, they sang a really lame version of Ding Dong the Witch is Dead, Blaine joined the New Directions, and Will talked about his morning wood. That's what you missed on Gleeboot.
Yes.
That really was only a couple of days ago, and I had actively blocked out the fact that he had referenced his penis basically twice, and now I'm having flashbacks.
That's crazy because I don't remember that at all, so maybe I did the same.
No, literally last episode,
out of my head,
he rolls over in bed.
Yeah.
And he's with Emma, and he's like, guess who woke up before me? And I just died. I was like, his penis, no.
Gleeboot.
Welcome to Gleeboot, the show where we get drunk and talk about rebooting Glee. I'm Cullen.
Alyssa.
And I'm Hannah.
And today we have...
No, go ahead.
Today we have a special guest, one of my friends from college, Jasmine.
Mm-hmm. Hi, guys. I'm glad to be here.
Hi.
Jasmine has her own theme music that I made for her.
You did. He did. That was 7 years ago. I remember it.
Yeah. Jasmine. Jasmine is the girl to be.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
For you.
So Jasmine has been, she was like, I told her about Gleeboot and she's like, do you guys have guests? And I was like, yes, we do. So,
sign me up.
So Jasmine, what's your relationship with the show Glee?
I just moved here to New York with my two really great friends who watched it when it came out when we were in high school, and I'd never seen it. They're like, okay, let's rewatch it. And so I'm watching it, but through the eyes of Jasmine, when she was younger, because otherwise you couldn't stomach it. I'm sitting there this is,
yeah.
But it's okay, I'm going to watch it as if I'm a teenager because I can get into it. Oh yeah, I would have gone crazy for this back in the day. But at 26, you're what the hell am I watching? None of this makes any sense. I just can't wait to rip this episode apart. I'm telling you, man, I'm so excited.
Accurate.
Did you take the BuzzFeed quizzes?
I did, 10 minutes before this.
Perfect, so it's fresh.
Yes, very, very fresh. Do you want to give my results? Is that what we're doing right now?
Yeah, what's your results?
Yeah.
So I unfortunately got Quinn. She's the most boring person, and I don't see myself as that.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And I got Sam as a boyfriend, which I'm yeah.
Wow.
I think he's the one, yeah. Excellent.
How come
he's also my Glee boyfriend?
Everyone either gets Blaine or Trouty Mouth.
Yeah.
And here I am just I have Artie and he's kind of terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm how bad of a person am I that that's what, but then again I'm wait, it's BuzzFeed.
It's BuzzFeed. How accurate is it?
So I'm
really? Because I got Quinn.
Yeah.
That's not accurate at all.
It's so funny that you said that she's super boring because on the show we go back and forth between who is she? Is she fun to watch? And how the writers just mistreat her as a character. So it's crazy. I also cannot pin her down, especially in this episode. No idea what's happening.
She's so inconsistent.
She's terrible
as a character.
But
yeah.
But Sue points that out, right? I don't know, a little bit in this episode.
Yeah, I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
There sometimes the writers give a nod to their own either mistakes or whatever it's going on, and it's so you know what you're doing sometimes, but other times you're I don't care, and I'm okay.
Well, my question is, if they know what they're doing, why did they do it that way?
Right?
They could. You still watched it, and we're still talking about it right now.
True. They got us.
Yeah, that is true. This is my first time around, so.
Mm-hmm. I've seen this show. I know I've seen this whole season, and I don't remember this episode at all.
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately did, so it's not too fresh for me. But what are we drinking tonight?
I'm drinking water. I've had lots of White Claws. Listen, over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, I've shared a 24-pack of White Claws. So it's been a lot of White Claws, and I'm like, I think there's too much sugar in my diet.
How many people did you share it with? Because that matters.
Me and my boyfriend, and then I gave one to my roommate. That's it. So basically, I've had probably at least 11. And it's a lot of sugar for me as of late.
True.
Yeah.
Speaking of high content sugar,
oh boy,
I got a request last recording to do a shot of gin and maple syrup mixed together. I want you all to know it's awful, but I'm gonna drink it. It's real bad. Okay, so it basically I did 1 ounce of gin and then I did like a 1/4 ounce of maple syrup and just mixed it up with some ice in a glass. It tastes like cough syrup. The kind that I drank when I was a kid.
That sugary
and
stuff.
threw back up again because it was disgusting.
Yeah.
That's what it tastes like. Never do this. Not recommended, but I'm doing it for the request.
That's good of you.
Dedication. I like that.
That's bold. I like it. Victoria would be so proud. And also I feel like she would feel bad.
Jasmine, what are you drinking?
It's sweet red. A Merlot. It's called Sweet Bitch. I just discovered it.
Nice.
I don't know. It's really good. And I'm like, describes me. No, I'm kidding.
I'm really sorry.
It is really good.
Like gag in the middle of the episode.
I gag for other reasons.
You have a chaser of what? Anytime Shu appears on the screen, you just trigger warning for the gagging noises for anyone who doesn't like those noises.
I'm drinking an unfiltered cider, or as I christen them, the Finn Hudson. Yeah.
It's very in season. A cider. That's cute.
I went to the grocery store this week and I was like, it's officially fall. I'm buying Halloween candy. I'm buying pumpkin donuts. I'm buying cider.
And you did it. Look at you.
Is this the first time you've had pumpkin donuts? Like this year?
Yeah.
I've been eating them for weeks. I like too much.
I've never had a pumpkin donut in my life.
Neither have I.
You should have told me. I ate the last one today.
Oh my God. Honestly, Jasmine would recommend Dunkin' Donuts pumpkin donuts. Like some of their other donuts aren't very good, but their pumpkin donuts are actually really good.
I'll give that a try.
And they also have pumpkin munchkins. They're just little poppable. It's literally just a little bit of fall in your mouth. It's amazing.
Are they cake donuts at Dunkin' Donuts?
Yes.
Ooh, yum. That's my favorite.
Yeah, they're pumpkin cake.
Okay. Pumpkin.
Yeah.
So today we're gathered here today to talk about season 3, episode 2.
More in the loss of culture.
I am unicorn. Yeah. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to talk about the brief kind of Will storyline first because he institutes a booty camp.
Anytime he said booty, it was just
it's a dance boot camp specifically for Finn, Puck, Mercedes, and Kurt, and then Blaine just decides to join for fun.
Yeah.
And Mike points out that Kurt only has one dance move, which is like this shimmy.
Baby. Me shimmy.
Accurate.
And then, but he's like, because I'm so focused on winning nationals and making us the best we've ever been, I can't direct the musical. So I'm bringing in Alyssa.
I'm sorry. Just keep going. Just like don't acknowledge my pain.
You don't have to finish it.
It's already.
Why are you
full.
sipping it? Why don't you literally just down it and get it over with?
Ew. I can't,
Yeah, but-
because if I did that, I would. It wouldn't stay down.
Ugh.
Girl, you should have just lied. Why didn't you just put? It could have been a Coke. Girl, nobody knows. Oh no, look at the
You
syrup.
could have been like, I'm drinking it.
Oh,
and we would have been like,
no.
oh, good for you.
Would have been your little secret. Look at
Wow,
you.
you're such a
I love being
stand-up
honest.
person.
Honestly, it would have been back here like, oh no. Drinking my Coke.
No. And here's the thing, because you lie when it gives you gains, right? So in this case, I'm telling the truth because it's giving me gains.
You don't.
Because
Gains, bro.
no, it's because
Do you even lie, bro?
it's because when people hear my pain, they feel empathy for me, and then I garner all of this empathy. It's a little bit sociopathic.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of it. But,
Empathy.
you know, I see it.
I mean, I took a character quiz the other day, like a really in-depth one with 14,000 different characters. No, 1,400. That's my bad.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
You were all Glee characters.
No!
I know what you're talking. Wait,
Yeah.
maybe we might be. Was it like pop culture characters?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I took this too.
I matched
probably something similar.
closest. 79% was my highest percentage, and I matched closest with a bed from Community at 79% and Dexter at 79%.
Oh, hello.
So,
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like Abed, like it makes a lot of sense. That's so interesting. Yeah, I'll have to pull up my score, but I think my highest percentages were like in the 90s. I got like 4 people from Game of Thrones.
I think I got like Pippin.
The dog
that makes sense to me.
from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, from Lord of the Rings.
I did not take this quiz, guys. I was like,
It's interesting. You should.
Yeah, we'll have to send you the link. It is really interesting.
Yeah, I do it for sure.
Yeah, I got Lord Varys, I think, from Game of Thrones as my like top score. And like, I guess I'm a eunuch. But yeah. Anyway.
I never watched Game of Thrones, so I'm just back there like.
And apparently, I'm also who we assigned me? Santana, and I'm also Santana from Glee.
Yeah. So he assigns Emma and Beast as co-directors of the musical.
What?
And, and because they're the only other 2 characters.
What? That makes sense. Glee does this so much. Like, what are you talking about? Why? And then they try to like, oh, you know, Rachel, they're not experienced. And Beast gives this really like lame, oh, I was in the, I don't know, like some background character in the play once. I'm like, y'all really don't care. Y'all really out here. Wow.
I think the reason that they gave was like because nobody else in the school likes the arts or something.
You
really?
And they're gonna hate it after they do a really bad job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's assign it to people who, like, I don't know. And then like, what's
aren't in the arts?
Wait, what's the? So Mr. Shoes, like, he needs to just give us all to nationals, and that's why.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he need?
He doesn't have
He needs
time or
new directions to like. I don't know. Is he like drawing some stuff up? I mean, it would be like, I don't know, like a new thing. You guys ever notice that they're always doing some last minute thing? Like, you remember the time when they're in New York and they're like, let's write this song. The day before. Are you kidding me?
Oh my god. Oh my
okay.
god.
That's why you lost. You sound stupid. What are you talking about?
You and me are like the same. Like I flip out every time
like,
that
what?
happens.
What?
But this specifically makes like it's an interesting choice. He uses like basically their leadership qualities, but like as pretty much anyone can attest, but most specifically Cullen, like it takes more than just leadership to be able to direct a musical. 100. And I'm just like, Beast is like, yeah,
talent.
I
takes experience.
manage a bunch of football players. And then she's like, oh yeah, then the football players are going to be in the play. And I'm like, why?
I
Like,
didn't
I don't-
understand it.
Okay.
Like, I remember she was like saying,
And then
I'm
why
going to
is
keep
Emma
the football
there?
players in line.
I was there because
and
she's
I'm like,
with you. Let's get
Yeah,
real.
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I was
that's true.
like,
Let me
why?
include my girl, my best girl. She's gonna help out.
Yeah.
Emma comes in all
It's just-
wide-eyed, like, "Hi guys, girl."
Like Rachel definitely had a point when she was like, they don't know what they're doing. Like she obviously she's a brat about it, but like she makes a point, a good point.
You hate to agree with
okay,
me.
I have a
So-
Kinda like
question. All of these people, so people just like transfer on a dime, right?
Yeah.
Why are they staying at this school?
Great
There
question.
are other places to be that would give them a leg up in the Glee Club, and like,
Great question. This also, the fact that they're doing a musical assumes that they've never done a musical before at this school. Like there's just no theater program.
except they talked about the one that they did last year, which was Directed Horror.
But
Yes,
the Glee Club does it.
The Glee Club did that.
Oh,
And they
right.
almost did Cabaret, and that was like a separate class, but that was, the pedophile.
Yes.
So like, I just, it's almost as if like they're completely starting a theater program, and go to a different school. It
Yeah,
literally
like-
takes 2 seconds to transfer, apparently.
Yeah. Isn't that what they want to do? Like performing arts?
Go to a
Theater,
school that has a
right?
good, even in high school, a lot of kids will
Yeah.
do that. They'll transfer to a different high school.
Period.
Mhm.
And athletes
I mean,
do
especially
that.
if you want this for your career, right? Episode before, we
Yeah.
have her and Rachel crying their eyes out because these other kids are like so much better than them, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's your life, you better do what you got to do.
It's a no-brainer.
Mhm.
But that
I
means they
chose-
have no brains.
It's true. I chose my high school because it had a better art program than the other one in town.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
Do what you got to do, girl.
rocket science.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just illogical.
It's Glee.
Yeah.
Exactly. Synonymous.
Like, it's a lot of,
Synonymous
like-
word.
Are you surprised? We've been doing this for 2 seasons. You know what you're getting into.
I actually had that thought, like when the episode started, I was like, I can't believe this show has been on for 2 whole seasons already. Like at this point,
Mhm.
and they're still going. I'm like, I don't understand how they sustained it.
Yeah. And then Rachel, Will is like, we'll have a student director to help. And Rachel is like, I'm honored, but Barbara didn't start directing herself in Yentl till she was 40. So no, thank you. And Brittany's just like, I hate you.
I literally cackled out. I laughed so hard. It was so funny. Oh, she's like, I hate you.
Oh,
It wasn't even like anything like clever. It was just directly her feelings.
Yes.
It was beautiful.
And then he's like, how about I'm nominating Artie? And Artie's like, me? And Tina has her one line of the episode where she's like, you directed short films, Artie. Isn't this what you want to do? And Artie's like,
Yeah.
okay,
She's
I'll
the
do it.
only one who knows that he wants to be a director.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which was actually like,
It
it's
was
cool
kinda
that they
cute.
remembered that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they forget a lot of things.
True.
But I do think it's actually really cool that Shu did that just in general. Like, I thought that was a good teacher moment to pick a student. It just kind of made me wonder, like, why he picked Artie, because it seemed that, like, Tina was the one who remembered that he was into film. I don't know if, like, Shu consciously knows this.
Yeah.
Doesn't know they're his kids, but also Rachel called for the booty camp. I hate saying that, but she referred to the students who have to go to this booty camp as special needs, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? He literally said, like, who have special, like, who are special needs, essentially.
Yikes.
And I was like, are you kidding? Yeah, uncomfortable.
show
Because
does
there was
that
a
a
shot
lot.
on Artie. Because as soon as she said special needs, like, it flashed to Artie being like,
Yikes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just some fun tidbits from that great scene.
Yes. So he has booty camp, and then there's a scene where he's making coffee. We get all these close-ups of him making coffee in the teacher's lounge. And then Shelby shows up,
Shelby.
and Idina Menzel herself, Queen of Arendelle.
Yes.
And she announces that she is now teaching at William McKinley High School because she's like, this is the teacher's lounge. Isn't this where the teachers hang out? And she was hired by Sugar Mata's dad, Al Mata. There was a huge check, and he hired her to start her own show choir starring Sugar.
Can we just also talk about the fact that Al Mata called Principal Figgy Figgy?
Yikes.
He called him Figgy, and I just like, wow, that's what we call him.
Okay. Can we also talk about the fact that she left her job in New York as like a real person doing real things in New York to come teach a one-person show choir?
Yeah, no. Is that going to be a separate storyline? Like, obviously, like Shelby and Quinn and Puck?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we need more time for that because I have a lot to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Shelby's back.
So ridiculous.
And Will.
That's ridiculous. Come on, guys. Okay. The privilege, by the way, like, you know,
oh, yeah.
God, Sugar's so obnoxious. I don't need her to be a character. I need her to go. I need her to go as soon as possible. Oh my God, she's insufferable.
Someone else. I feel like I know this actor.
Yeah, I was hoping she came in that she'd be like good and that she'd be like competition for Rachel, like someone who could actually compete with Rachel other than Mercedes, but we'll get to that. And like, you know, give Rachel like, you know, a little pushback. I'm like, yeah, because Rachel is my least favorite character. I will say that now. But like, so having someone like push her a little bit who's like really good. Mm-hmm. So upset when she started singing off key. I was like, oh shit.
Anytime there's a character like that, they put them on a different team, so Rachel barely sees them, and so it's like barely an inconvenience for her.
Which is so annoying. She needs that. She needs
last
to
time,
like knock her off of pedestal.
Last time it was Sunshine, and then she went on a different.
She sent her to the crack house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she
would never forget
wasn't
that.
an active crack house. Wasn't an active crack house though.
Girl. I was so annoyed at that. I'm like, they just made Rachel increasingly more like, I can't stomach her. In the first season, I was like, okay, she's a little self-centered. And then that whole thing happened, and I'm like, oh, they're making her worse.
She's hard to root for now. And she, like, in the first season, she was supposed to be our female protagonist. She's like for me right now, even with last episode, this episode made it almost impossible for me to root for her.
100. I never did.
I don't think I'm rooting for anyone.
I never root for her. She's the worst. Exactly. How could you? Oh.
I root for Rachel sometimes.
Yikes.
Yeah, sometimes, and it's often when she has these tender moments that are often related to her learning lessons and her possibly improving.
Possibly.
But the show takes that away from her.
And that's the problem. Yeah. And we love each other, and we're a family. And then it's, I'm the best. You guys can be in the background and make me look good.
You guys are special needs.
You know?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Get it together,
much
guys.
For family.
Girl.
She never actually has a character.
She's a hell of a singer, though.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is a great singer.
So it's booty camp, and we get our really one Mercedes plot point for the episode, where Mercedes is like doesn't want to do it, and he's like, "Don't you think?" He's like, "Shay." She's like, "Shay, my boyfriend says I'm park and bark. I stand there and I sing the notes that other people can't sing." And he's like, "Didn't you say you want to be Beyonce? Don't you think Beyonce spends extra time in the dance studio?"
She does.
And so then she's down with it. And so this is just another instance of the show giving Mercedes the lazy character trait.
Just so annoying.
Not realizing how problematic that is.
Super problematic. It's just like, I don't know. I'm sitting back watching it like, this is awful.
Yeah. Also, like, her only, like, action, she was basically, like, guilted into, and the only thing she did was do this booty camp, but we didn't even focus on her. We focused on Finn.
At all. She doesn't get the screen time that she needs. She really should be the star. She is the better singer, and they admitted by giving her the bigger notes every time. And I feel like it's so like, this is a joke. When I forget what episode it was when they were like all singing for like the lead, I guess maybe in the Nationals or whatever. And she was obviously the best to me. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not even
she
just
was.
overall. She just is. I'm like, don't take this. Take this, girl.
Mercedes would be that character who would be on the team and giving Rachel pushback.
If they wrote her that way.
Yes, but they give us those tiny moments like you're saying, like where she like they allow her to have the spotlight and to have everyone remember like, oh my God, she is amazing.
Oh my God, Mercedes, oh my God. Listen to that note that she just said, oh my God. And they just snatch it away and then you can break through the spotlight again. Like, man, if y'all don't utilize this character so much better, it just would be so much more interesting. If you gave her like the recognition that she needed, that they talked about for a second and then right back. It's like Glee never learns themselves. Like again, what's her name? The coach, she never learns as well. They did the really sweet thing for her and now she's back. I'm like, awesome. This is some bullshit. This is bullshit. Are you serious? You're back on that?
Like Sue?
Yeah.
Yeah. We always say that like
Sue, yeah.
I'm
forgetting her name. She just pissed me off so much.
They always say that like every episode of Glee exists in its own universe where things that happen in other episodes.
And then like they'll acknowledge it. She was like, yeah, you guys did that great thing, but I hate you. Like, oh, wait.
It's like little tiny drops, but characters don't change.
No,
it's
don't.
crazy.
And that's the annoying thing. It's like, oh, okay, like let's have some kind of like character growth here. Like the whole popularity thing going back and forth. Like, I want to be popular, I want to be in Glee, I want to be popular. I'm like, oh my God, pick one of them. Holy shit.
It's almost like they're writing it like it's a sitcom where the characters never change. When it really should be like embracing its drama perspective,
100%.
like make it writing characters that actually change and have personalities that are not permanent, you know, like that learn things from episode to episode. Whereas in a sitcom, you want your characters to always be the same so people know what they're going into and what they're expecting. And like that's what a 30-minute show is.
100.
But this isn't a 30-minute show.
You tell them, Alyssa.
And as a dramedy type show, I think now we have a more of a standard that like a dramedy type show, you would see more character growth. But maybe it's because it existed out of that time, but even then, like this show was ahead of its time in a lot of ways. And I feel like it could have serviced itself better by actually going against the grain of it leaning heavy into comedy, but with drama elements. It could have gone against that comedy stereotype of characters stay the same.
Yeah, that's, I think, the biggest change in the Gleeboot would be if characters just learned lessons and grew. Imagine how different the show would just be.
And how escalated the challenges would become. Like the challenges would just become more interesting as they grew. Like Quinn, what she's going through right now would have been way more interesting if it had happened like right after she had the baby and she had a complete overhaul. And her
out of nowhere.
like she did this. We'll get to that, but yeah, like there's just so many of those things that like I don't even know.
So yes, we have a shot of Matthew Morrison's lower back tattoo.
Yes.
Which I can't unsee.
What? I missed that.
I totally missed this one.
My friend pointed it out.
Shots.
I was focused on Mike Chang's arms, which were fantastic. Loved
As you
that.
should be.
Okay.
So this was the slow motion where Mike Chang and Shu were
When they're
dancing.
And you see the like lower
What
back.
is his lower back tattoo? Please
I
tell
totally
me
missed it.
it's
I
of
don't
like
know what it is, but it just
Ryan
looks.
Seacrest.
It looks kind of like a tramp stamp.
I mean, it is. I think
Cool.
the placing is tramp. What was it is the question.
Yeah. That's all right. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna research. Matthew Morrison tramp stamp.
So, and then he's showing Finn how to dance, and Finn falls, and he's like, "What is it?"
It's a Chinese symbol. That's what this Tumblr says. Just like in general, a Chinese symbol. And then it says he's in the process of getting laser removed.
Good choice. Good choice.
It's so just like apparently this person says it's a Chinese character that means war, battle, weapon, and bravery. On Matthew Morrison.
Lower back though. It's very it's an interesting place for something.
21-year-old who went to Thailand? Like, no judgment, but a little bit of judgment. But you know what? To each his or her own. That's fine. To each their own.
He right along with you trying to get that shit removed. He like, damn, no, stupid.
And they were like, we don't want to pay to have extra time in post to have it taken out. Just leave it.
Very true. But you don't even, okay, so like so many times in post, people have tattoos and piercings and like things that they don't want you to see. They're just like, all right, take it out. I'm like, okay.
You're like, okay.
I'll take it out for you.
So that's, I just found that funny because I was like, it just seems like such a weird choice for Matthew Morrison, but I don't know him personally, but
I know she's like for Matthew Morrison. I'm like, hey, got his personal number.
Yeah. So
update to my drink. I had a funky Buddha from Floridian delivered to me.
ooh.
Nice.
So I am drinking.
I'm glad.
Beer.
I'm glad. I was a little sad.
Wonderful.
I'm like, everybody should be drinking. We need to all stomach this, and alcohol makes it easier.
I know. I'm always the one who's like,
Hannah,
I'm
don't
not
suffer.
drinking. So I need to catch up. Okay.
And so he shows Finn, like, Finn falls and he's like, you can do this. And Finn's like, I can't. And he's like, who knows more about dancing, me or you?
Yikes.
And so Finn dances and he does it.
And he does it really badly. He does it badly.
It's
You can
still
see it
bad.
in his face, like 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm like, you're
But if you
still
look close,
bad.
you can see him mouthing the number.
100%. He's so bad. How are you still this bad? And it's leave. Go away. I don't know. It's awful.
I understand what they were going with for like an emotional, literally an emotional journey here, but it was literally 40 seconds long.
The only emotion I had was crying laughing because it was it's the only emotion I had.
they set this up because like, so we know that Finn's a bad dancer from season 1. We just know this.
Yes, ma'am.
So they front load this whole moment with that, but we never saw him like montage, like struggling through it over and over and over again in this episode. So it was literally like 30 seconds
100.
and he's like, oh, I can do it. From what
Because
we know.
Shu is a dancer and he told me I could do it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, my father figure, you know, he told me I could do it and I did it, kind of. And it's also like, it's another one of those things where it's off camera. Like, all the good emotional content that we need for this moment to really pay off is off camera.
Yeah, I didn't feel any
No, it's
emotion at all.
not. It's on camera. It's just 30 seconds.
Well, you're
long.
right. It's just, yeah.
Well, but
Yeah.
I'm saying like all of the other stuff, like we should have seen a series of this happening.
Because I'm sure, yeah.
It was
Because
it was
seemed
too in the middle of the
100%.
scene.
It felt very obvious that he was like trying, right? He didn't just do it the one time. It felt like, I can't do it. Right? He going through it and was like,
it should have been him failing and Shu being like, get up, let's do it again. You can do it.
Scene, like,
yeah.
The scene
And
with him
then
falling,
getting down on his level and being like, listen, you can do this.
And
let's do this.
finally-
Focus. And then he does that.
After
Like
2 seasons, finally do it.
And not only, and this is where you know that the actor is actually not very good, is because not only is he not great at when he actually succeeds in the dance, but the fall itself looks
It's bad.
real fake.
You see it.
Yeah.
You saw that.
It looks real fake. And I was just
It's
like,
bad.
oh, you couldn't be, oh no, can we get a couple
He was like,
different
oh,
camera
I can't
angles
do
and
it.
edit it a
It
little
was
bit
1, 2,
better or
3, 4
something?
right here.
Yes, exactly.
Like it was such a choreographed fall that you could see the choreography of the fall happening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's not good.
100%.
So
Very
that's the end of booty camp.
Thank God.
Wait, no, that was that little part. Wasn't there a little part between Kurt and Blaine with the whole like? Or was that like later?
We're gonna talk about that with the Kurt storyline.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
All right.
But yeah, Puck didn't really dance at all.
I didn't see him.
Mercedes didn't really dance. Who else was there?
Kurt.
And Blaine.
Kurt.
And
Like
like
we said.
I mean,
they
okay.
danced a little bit.
But yeah, no
Yeah.
one else really danced. It was all focused on Finn, and I'm like,
And it was a
he's
one
lost
bad
cause,
little
just give up.
scene. It was just not. Booty camp could have just been erased from this episode. It didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
Bad booty camp.
It was emotionally insignificant.
I wanted it to be the scene in Footloose where the kid teaches his friend how to dance.
Yeah, that would be a good setup, and like
Mhm.
you could seriously do that in a minute. Like shorten it to Glee's time. You could do that in a minute and a half, and it would be fine.
Yeah.
Like that's not even like it is, but it isn't. Like if the episode had been better structured around this part of story or
Mhm.
Finn's story,
Mhm.
it honestly could have taken maybe a couple minutes.
But then also, like in Footloose, you obviously can tell that this scene happens over a couple of weeks. And
Yes.
that just doesn't mesh with Glee. Glee always happens like in 1 to 2 days.
Yeah.
In an
Right.
They
episode.
write songs for
Well-
nationals. And
Right.
But they
You
were.
could definitely do it
Sorry.
for. It could be really interesting if Finn was like made to stay after school to work on it, and they showed it
100%.
over and over. Like in
So,
Dirty
like-
Dancing, they do it over the series. I mean, they do the whole montage over the series of a few days, but they do like the one segment over literally just like a couple hours.
Right. So it would be
they could do
easy
it.
to like squish Finn's little learning session into a couple, like maybe 30 seconds to a minute, but have it be a couple of hours in the actual timeline.
Yes, exactly. I agree.
We have another small little storyline to cover before we get to oh my gosh.
Oh God,
See?
Alyssa's
You should just went with
it's happening.
You should just went with the code. Alyssa, look at you, bro. We recording. You can't be doing this right now. You should have lied.
That is so
It's
funny.
Don't apologize to me.
I'm almost done.
Apologize
I'm
to
almost
you.
done.
Yeah, apologize to yourself.
You are torturing yourself.
But it's
Went
okay.
down the
She
wrong
planned this. She wanted our empathy.
Empathy and
You're right.
sympathy. Mm-hmm.
You got it, girl.
I'm starting to lose my sympathy for you, but I definitely still empathize.
So we have another small storyline to cover. We have the Rachel and Shelby storyline. So when Shelby comes back, Will is
We're
like,
separating Shelby from her two traumatizations of these children.
yeah.
Oh boy.
Well,
So Will is like, you being back, I'm worried what that will do for Rachel. And she's like, oh, I need to make it up to her.
Sick. She's sick. Sorry. She should have just said something to Rachel before. You don't just pop up at your kids'
No.
school. Like, I'm gonna talk to her.
yeah.
No.
Bitch, you should have been calling me. You sound dumb.
Like, wasn't it that
Leave.
Rachel had to be 18 and make her own decision to see Shelby? Shouldn't Shelby have talked to her parents, her dads,
Yeah.
before she could actually take that role?
Glee don't do nothing right.
Yeah, in the
Like-
first season.
Yeah, like, so, but even now, like, if she decided to take that role and she had secretly talked to Rachel, like, in order to take that role and she was going to be around Rachel, she really should have talked to the dads and been
Yeah, I
like,
mean, technically they'd be able to sue or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
How does that
Probably.
work?
because that they could be like, this is stalking. That's definitely a case they could make.
Mhm.
So,
And it does kind of seem like it.
because she does just show up while Rachel's practicing
Oh
with the full band, as one
Yeah,
does.
of course.
And she's like, Rachel's shocked that she's here, and she's like, you made yourself clear, like, we're not gonna be connected. Like, if you want, I'll look at you in the hallway and I'll nod, but that's all. And Shelby is like, somewhere there's a place for us. And Rachel's like, I told you that there isn't. And she's like, that's the audition song you should sing. I've played Maria 18 times. Me and my whiteness have played Maria 18 times.
Yeah.
And you should sing Somewhere There's a Place for Us. And she's like, well, I was going to sing I Feel Pretty. And she's like, Glee's already covered that song. Wait, no.
Almost. That's kind of almost what she says, yeah.
She's like, that's too easy. You should sing somewhere. It's harder. Show off your talent.
Yeah.
And so there's a Rachel and Shelby duet of Somewhere that
beautiful.
turns into Rachel's audition.
So, okay. So the big thing I have about Shelby just being back in general is that she's traumatizing these kids.
100%.
And also,
all
like,
the way.
I mean, Shu is also this way, and we can talk about it when we get to Quinn. But she's also very good, condescending, and like giving unsolicited advice.
Oh, yes.
And it feels really inappropriate because Rachel made it clear that she doesn't want that kind of relationship with Shelby, if any relationship at all. She made that clear last season, or season 1.
Season 1, she offered Shelby to come to the school, and Shelby said no. So Shelby nixed their relationship.
Right. So okay, so then Rachel made it clear in that moment then, at least, because I thought for some reason Rachel had, because Shelby had, been mean to her. So basically, like, in that moment, she literally was like, I don't want that kind of relationship with you now. And she's still pushing, and it feels really inappropriate. And then like, it just, Rachel literally says, like, you coming back in my life made me I almost had to go to therapy, is what she said. And I'm like, that's bad.
It's sad.
Like,
yeah,
it is.
This lady is
and I'm just
toxic. She's gonna go ahead and be really toxic. Everything she did, again, we'll get there. I was like, yeah, no.
She does not care about these 3 kids that she's coming back into contact with. She's here for the money, and that's gross.
Well, here's
I don't know,
maybe
though.
more complicated. Like, it's a little more. I feel like
so,
it's more
because we
complicated than that.
talked earlier about how she left a better job for this. It feels very much like that was a little bit of an incentive for her to be there because of the parents and because of her kid. I don't know. If she had a better job,
Here's the thing.
Tell us, Alyssa. Go
Here's
ahead,
the
girl.
thing. So, you know how I'm drinking this really nasty drink in order to garner attention?
Yes.
This kind of feels like her stepping back into these children's lives because
To get their attention.
Yes,
Interesting.
because she feels like she has advice to give and she doesn't have anyone to give it to.
Yeah, because
so,
Beth is an infant.
It's just very strange to me, like how she's messing with people's lives, but she's not really helping them. Like, she's making it worse. And usually when that's happening, it's like the person that's doing it is gaining something from the situation. So it's like that sort of tendency to want to garner empathy, sympathy.
So she's trying to create a family. She wants to get back with Rachel,
In a very
and she wants
irresponsible way.
Yes.
She's just irresponsible.
So she's doing it for money, and she's being irresponsible about trying to reconnect with these children. They are children. Like,
they are kids.
This is definitely overstepping a lot of bounds.
These kids' parents? It's just unrealistic. It's
I don't know.
Where's
great.
Judy Fabre? Is she busy curing her own meats again?
Yeah.
It's like,
obviously. I want to know what Judy feels about Quinn's new look that lasts an episode.
She's a skank, right? Dirty skank. What they call him?
They call the skank.
Wow, Jasmine.
Listen, calling them like I see them. You know what I'm saying?
So that's basically like she sings Somewhere. It's her Maria audition, and they're like, that was good. And so that let's get into Quinn. We have a lot to say there.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
Is Somewhere actually more difficult than I Feel Pretty?
I would say Somewhere is.
I Feel Pretty is a bit repetitive.
That song was so good. I'm not gonna lie.
Somewhere there's a place for us.
Yeah, I love that song.
It was really pretty.
I fast forwarded through. There were 3 songs this episode, right?
Only 3.
I fast forwarded through all of them. I listened to like the first 15 seconds, and then I was like, I'm bored.
Oh,
so my music choice was big. Not a fan.
My music choice. Gleeboot. for Gleeboot.
This is the thing is
Damn.
I will suffer through a lot.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I was so bored, literally in that second. Also, I was mostly just like really mad at Shelby, and I didn't want to hear.
Fair.
Although I have heard that song and it is really good.
Mm-hmm.
But my music choice today was based on how less bored I was to the
There
other.
were only 3 songs.
Yeah, unless you count I Am a Shining Star.
Oh.
No, let's not.
So Quinn. So Quinn is giving this girl a swirly for her lunch money
Girl.
With the other skanks.
with the other skanks. And then she's like, you guys are so mean. And she's like, that's what passes for love in my home. That's what one of the skanks says.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I was a foster kid, so I know how to shank people.
Yeah.
I didn't like
He had
any
a
of the
plastic
scene.
fork. That shit took me the fuck out. So I got a shake. Oh my god. A plastic fork.
No, it was a spoon, right?
A sport.
A sport.
Oh,
That's
okay.
even better.
You see it.
That shit would just like bend. Would just.
100. Shit was hilarious. I shanked him like, damn, you gonna get back where you hurt yourself with that little sport.
And
You know, another thing that I hated was like the whole backstory with Quinn and her going through it the summer. I wanted to see a little bit of that. Because you see her come in and she's like, you know, she a bad bitch, you see her. And then it's like, oh, you were like, I don't dated some old guy. I don't know. It was some whole thing that Rachel said. And I'm like, I would have liked to see that. Just a little snippet. Give us a flashback.
Yeah. They give the weirdest flashbacks always.
Well, I mean, I didn't like this scene because I thought it was really unfair that suddenly the skanks are bullies. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
why?
She's essentially Puck now.
Yeah.
She's Puck now.
I don't know. Like, I know that bullies exist, but why suddenly are they
Also
the people
bullies.
that? Yeah, like
They were just
Yeah, you thought they were just
people that hung out
This
under the
seems like-
bleachers.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't get it.
Mhm.
The kids that hang under the bleachers and dye their hair are
They're
now
also bullies?
automatically bullies. No.
Yeah.
You're right.
pick
It
it up
doesn't
with Ryan
translate.
Murphy.
Doesn't translate.
Mm-mm.
Oh, we will. This podcast is an open letter to him.
You hear us?
Oh my goodness. Guys, we should get him to guest.
I would love that. I would love to hear what he has to say, and I want him to justify all of his choices.
Invite me back.
Yeah. We're gonna have all of the guests who appeared. You guys will be like in a panel.
I love that.
Okay, and then everyone will get one question.
Oh my goodness. How many people is that going to be?
That's going to be like 22 times like 2 if it was at the end of the first season. That's 44 people.
40.
That's 40 people. The 40 people's faces that Ryan Murphy has to confront.
Challenge.
I bet you that's like probably like the easiest room he's ever had to deal with.
I'd have to finish it before, because I'm sure
That's perfectly
I'm
fine.
like,
You got
I know they're
time.
gonna top themselves. I gotta finish it before I get my one good question. Nail his ass.
Last episode of Gleeboot is
Ryan
going to
Murphy.
be the Ryan Murphy episode.
Love that.
And then he tells us that we're all winners and that we're gonna help him write the Gleeboot.
Yes!
Hire us, Ryan Murphy.
The real question is, would we accept and become sellouts?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. If I'm getting paid, shit.
If I have to be totally honest, like even though I shit all over this and a lot of other Ryan Murphy's work, I do respect him in a lot of ways because of how much he balances all the time just in his own creative work.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like I always have to remind myself, like, even though Glee is like a shit show to me, it did make a huge impact. And I always have to remind myself of that, even in these crazy episodes, that like what's going on with Kurt, I think is really interesting and is really important. and it gets spotlight in this show, this like primetime show. So like,
Even if
I
it
respect
didn't make an
him.
impact, it got 6 seasons. That's a success.
Yeah, exactly.
So
like, you know, it's one of those things where like I shit all over it because I have the privilege to do so.
right, exactly.
But like when it comes down to it, like if I talk to him, I would really be more curious about his actual creative process and how he actually came up with the ideas, not in like a snarky way.
Mhm.
Even if I say I would be very respectful because I do respect the effort and the passion that went into it. So
Yeah.
a little side note. Let's get back to the shit talking.
Right. None of this. Nobody came here for that. Nobody came here for praise. Fuck out of here.
So Quinn is bullying, and then Sue comes in and is like, "Quinn, you look terrible."
Can we talk about that line? Sue told her forgettable thin alto. I like it. Your voice is just so like basic. Oh, it's just basic.
It's so breathy for Bray.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, it
Nothing
kind of
is very
I'm not a
unexciting.
huge fan of her voice.
Very unexciting. Sue pointed it out. Love it.
I
So
didn't
funny.
agree with the "you look terrible" part, though. I was like,
We love her look.
I like the way Quinn looks
We like
right
a
now.
punk Quinn. We stand a punk Quinn. We don't
Oh,
stand a bully
yeah.
Quinn. Not a
No.
bully Quinn. Punk.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she wants Quinn to be on a video for her campaign promoting the damages of the arts.
She wants to exploit this child's pain
100%.
and
She's a
trauma.
sicko. Do like
And-
anything surprises you about Sue? She's a sicko.
It doesn't. Yeah, like
She cops
this didn't
herself every time.
surprise
You're like,
me.
oh,
I literally just had to be like,
Go
this
on.
is what's happening. She's exploiting this kid. And I'm like,
Yep.
okay, that's what Sue's doing this episode, I
Well,
guess.
I mean, do you remember when she tried to murder Brittany by shooting her out of the cabin?
I do.
Like,
Yeah,
not
she tried to
surprising.
exploit another child's life for her own success.
100%.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sue though.
I want to know how exactly she got into the education system in the first place.
She's the winner.
That. What if the Gleeboot
She's a coach and she's a winner.
We have a whole episode is a Sue Sylvester backstory. I'm assuming they probably have an episode like that though. If they
I don't think so.
There we go. Gleeboot. We're gonna do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sylvester backstory.
She just
I want to
talks
know
a
how
little
she
bit
became an
about-
educator.
Okay, yeah, like that. She just talked a little bit
Yeah.
about her life. It was like a little sad. I can't remember the story very well.
Well, I mean, we got
It's mostly been her sister and how she was abandoned by her mom.
Mhm.
her
And how people
well,
like
because her mom's a Nazi killer. So
Yes,
Mhm.
Hunter.
sorry. Same difference, right?
I feel like the hunting part is really important because she's really like stealthy and has to track him down.
Mhm.
I think that's really important.
Mhm.
I mean,
But you
killers
can't-
do that
You can't
too.
be considered a hunter unless you actually kill your prey.
She sings that "Why, oh, why, oh, why did I ever leave Ohio" song as she kills the Nazis.
Yeah, see, if you just stalk your prey, then you're not a hunter, you're a stalker. So if you're Nazi hunter, then you're also
You're
a Nazi
also a Nazi killer. So
Mhm.
she's a Nazi hunter / Nazi killer.
There we go.
/ Carol Burnett.
Yeah, / Carol Burnett. Legend Carol Burnett.
So then she agrees to be in Sue's video, and then Puck.
Something really key about that scene is what she wants in return is actually relatively kind of selfless,
She
even though
wants
she poses it.
couches under the bleacher.
Yeah, she poses it, and she also says thrift couches. It can't be new because it has
Yeah.
to still be grunge. But like, even though she poses it as like, I realize that like smoking all day has made it hard for me to stand, which was very sad to hear from a child.
Yeah.
Who used to be like an athlete. But like, presumably those couches are going to be for the group. So it's like oddly selfless, kind of. Like she's not asking for like, I want money. Like
Mhm.
she's not like, I want money for cigarettes or whatever. Like she's like, I want couches, which I thought was just
True.
interesting.
Yeah.
And then Sue steals her money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, wow. Why didn't she fight back?
Was this some sort of like weird commentary about how bullies make bullies?
Probably.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, that makes
I don't
sense.
remember
because
any of this.
Quinn's always really been a bully in a smaller way, even if she didn't like throw people into toilets and do swirlies, but like,
Yeah.
and presumably Sue and being under her wing made her that way. And then now that she's gone through whatever she's gone through to be in this weird punk phase, she's even more of a bully. And Sue's definitely at least partly to blame for that.
True.
Yeah.
But do we think the
I do
writers
agree.
meant it to be a commentary, or just like, and then Sue takes the money? That's going to be hilarious.
I think they kind of meant it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'll give them credit for that. I'm feeling generous, I guess.
So then Puck gets Quinn and it's like, Shelby is here, and they go and they see Shelby, and Shelby is like, hey, I want you in her life, just not like this.
She's literally condescending her. She's literally like, you need to clean yourself up. Like, this to me feels like the writer's hand again, like literally putting Shelby in this place because there's no one else apparently who's gonna convince Quinn to snap back into it.
I hated this scene. I hated it.
Too.
It was the worst thing I have ever seen. Like, okay, maybe not, but it was.
Yeah, I've seen food fight.
It came pretty close, you know, like. I was so angry for Quinn and at Shelby just because I feel like Shelby has no right to be saying that to Quinn.
Yes, she's the one who brings it up. Like, Quinn has never said anything before this that she wants any connection with Beth. And Shelby shows up and says, I want you to be in the baby's life. And then, like, it starts Quinn's gears. Like, at first I thought, like, Quinn would, like, freak out and be like, no, I don't want to be in your life. I thought that's what it was going to be. But then obviously it evolves into something, like, way worse. But again, it feels traumatizing and inappropriate because Shelby is the one initiating these relationships with these children. And both of them are very complex things that she did and was involved in. And so like obviously Shelby had a legal right to take the baby, but she's randomly coming back into these kids' lives and saying, let's be a family. Like, where are the parents? One. And like, it's bananas. Like, it literally feels super inappropriate, and like she's pressuring these kids to be into something that 100%. Maybe they're not ready for.
I didn't think about it like that. You're right, because she's like, oh, basically I don't want what happened to Rachel to happen to Beth. Is that the baby's name?
Yes.
Yeah. And I want you to be a part of the baby's life. And damn.
And that's like, they never asked for that. Like, they presumably had a legal agreement that they would not be in the baby's life.
You're right.
Unless
she has no right to do that. Seeing the mother, like the adoptive mother, like of your kid at your school, that's fucked up. Let's beat Shelby's ass. Let's beat her ass. Gang,
like,
jumper.
Did she really think that's what's going to be best for Beth?
Sick.
Really?
Sick shit.
And like, I think they talk about it a little later, how like, I think when Puck goes to Shelby's house, I think we'll get to that, but like, they transition the conversation. Shelby's sort of intention, I guess, sort of transitions, and we can talk about that, but...
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about the video first?
Is this the part where Quinn goes off on Shelby?
Yeah, so so Quinn says to Shelby, no matter how many papers you have, you're not her mother, I'm her mother.
Yeah. See, which comes out of nowhere.
It does come out of nowhere.
That was real weird for me. I feel like the
literally
conversation
starts with, why are you here?
Not how adoption works, firstly. And you're right. She never mentioned before wanting to be a part of Beth's life until Shelby said something. And then I was like, girl, you don't get that.
Exactly.
Yep.
Not only that, but like the conversation should have gone, you might have the like the papers that make make you her mother, but you're not my mother. Like, that's the way the conversation should have gone, because Shelby's trying to give her advice about how to live her life. Like, she's
giving unsolicited advice. Like, no one fucking asked you, Shelby. Shut up.
Real strange.
Like, she is just literally just pressuring these kids into some sort of relationship just by being there. And like, these kids have cleared both Quinn. I want to know what she did, how she talked to Puck, because like, presumably they talked first because Puck brought Quinn. So
that is true.
And their relationship is becoming very inappropriate, which we will talk about.
100.
But
fucking percent.
But like, but yeah, like, just by Shelby being at the school is just one pressuring step. And then the second one is the fact that both Quinn and Rachel are basically like, what are you doing here? Like, I'm making it clear that I don't want to be around you. And yet she still goes forward. Like, that's super inappropriate. That's toxic.
And it's so, I don't know, like, presumptuous, precocious to be like, I want you in my baby's life, but you can't be in her life if you look like this.
Just crazy.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now? Go fuck yourself. I'm so like, pissed.
If she, okay, so presumably Puck would have told Shelby, listen, Quinn is going through a punk phase. She's being a bully. She smokes. Shelby would have been like, okay, don't tell her I'm here. I don't want her around the baby. Not, I need to give her a lecture and save her. She has a savior complex.
Which is exactly what I was talking about, but I couldn't figure out the words.
There you go.
Yeah.
Everyone on Glee has a savior complex.
That's where I'm at.
Yes. This one is particularly toxic.
You tell him, Cullen.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought at first you were going to say everyone has a savior complex. And I was like, I don't.
She's like, everyone can suffer. That's amazing.
So now Quinn is in Sue's video, and it's.
I love the boom mic in the back. Like,
yes.
If you don't get, that's not supposed to be in the shot.
It's so good.
It is.
It's funny. Like Quinn spends all day cutting classes, and then
putting
comforts
cigarettes
herself
out on signs.
Okay. You see her. She's
comforts
a badass.
herself by smoking cornstarch, and she's like, "Wait, what?"
And she has a pipe. It's like a toy pipe.
And Becky's like, "Dumbass couldn't remember her lines."
That's so funny.
And then
how do we feel about Shu's speech to her though? Like his little.
Oh, we'll talk
we're
about
to
that.
get there. So Quinn comes into his office and is like, "Mr. Shu, I have something I want to tell you. That Glee show choir ruined my life. I had everything. I was dating the quarterback. I was the head cheerleader. I
was so popular.
And I joined Glee Club, which Sue asked her to do. No one mentions that.
That is hilarious. She did, so she can spy.
Yeah. And it ruined my life. And then she was like, Glee Club was there for you at your lowest points when your parents kicked you out. You stayed at Mercedes' house. And I don't recall so much as a thank you. And I'm like, yeah, whatever happened to Quinn and Mercedes being best friends?
Yeah, that was something that it's going to be in the Gleeboot. They're going to be best friends, and it's going to be super interesting to watch. I'm excited.
There's a lot of things that happen that just like, they just
forgot about conveniently.
It's so
So
consistency.
There's some nuance to Shu's speech to her.
There's something he does say, though. He says, you need to grow up.
Yes.
He says, you need to grow up. You blame everyone else for your problems. You're not a little girl.
When are you
going to
stop playing the victim card?
Yeah.
So he makes a good point that she was really selfish and that she sabotaged the Glee Club so many times. But it's just kind of reminding me, because you mentioned like Sue was the one who got her into Glee Club and who asked her to do a lot of things. And so like clearly this connection that like bullies make bullies, that it's really Sue's fault, that Sue is one of the reasons why this is happening to her. that's just not being made quite yet. But the nuance there is that, like, he kind of has a point that she doesn't really ever seem that grateful. She literally turns into a selfish brat again last season. Like, it's almost as if she never went through having a teen pregnancy and all that stress, and it was just gone.
Feels like it just
and all of a sudden now
I want to be popular again.
That's why they brought Shelby back. I'm telling you, they brought Shelby back so they could be like, oh, that's right, she had a baby.
Some shit up. Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly why they're doing it.
There's some shit up.
So there's some interesting nuance that he's making a good point. The way he approaches it and the language he uses is absolutely unacceptable.
That's that's most of the adults in the show, though.
Yes. He literally is lecturing her, and he gets like up in her face, which I did not care for. Like,
no, that's definitely like,
teacher does not talk to a student that way. Like,
no,
it's just very inappropriate. He's making some good points, but
I do agree.
I also just think that's not the approach.
They always cross the boundaries and cross the lines. It didn't feel far off from like the writing and how we've been seeing the teachers interact with the students like thus far.
Yeah.
So you tell her, shoot, I don't shit. I was back there like.
I was kind of like, you have a point. I was like,
no,
she's been a brat. But the thing is, I always remember it's actually not Quinn's fault. It's the writer's fault because they didn't give her the proper character development that she deserved.
Yeah,
Quinn could have been a way better character.
Yeah, like he definitely has a point, especially in that moment in that scene. But like we said, each like Glee episode is in its own universe. So if this was actually the way that a TV show was supposed to work and, you know, everyone changed and had character development the way they were supposed to, maybe this conversation wouldn't even be happening.
Yeah.
So she has two adults back to back tell her that she needs to grow up and fix herself. Yet they're not helping her. They're just telling her she needs to do it. Basically like, you figure it out. And it's like, she's 17 or 18 years old.
Not only that, but these are coming from two of the least adjusted adults that we've seen on this show.
That's true.
Who's adjusted though? Who's an adjusted adult?
Yes,
Bert Hummel. Bert Hummel.
Maybe.
Bert is
Bert's
the
gonna walk
best
into the
dad.
school like, hey, Quinn. Heard you need advice from a stable adult. None of them are stable. They all have really like major issues, really.
This comes back to something we talked about really early on, is that it's really hard to take the adults seriously because they're on the exact same level as the kids.
Period.
Like they do the
parallels,
dumb bullshit.
Always.
And so it's, I mean, maybe that's an interesting commentary that, like, you know, we all fuck up and sometimes we revert back to our teen selves and make stupid mistakes or whatever. But it's also like in the show, it does not serve well when an adult tries to tell a kid what to do, because it's like, well, no, shut up.
Not listening to you.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's the last person I want advice from.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and like, Shelby is the second to last person I want advice from.
I want to be adjusted like you, Mr. Shu. I want to be in a marriage where my wife fakes my baby.
Yeah, let's never forget that. Hashtag never forget.
Never forget Terry.
Yikes.
So then Puck shows up at Shelby's house.
What?
Super inappropriate. Goes inside the house. Super inappropriate.
Also, her house is ugly as fuck. I'm sorry.
It looked like a set.
Okay.
Like it literally
100%
literally did not look like a house. I was like, that's a set. I was like, she lives on a set.
It looked like a kitchenette in an office, like very basic setup shit. I'm like, aren't you supposed to be in the art?
That is not how a kitchen would look if you had a baby. No way.
It's too clean. It's too clean.
There's no baby stuff anywhere.
There should be food everywhere. Toys
there's
everywhere.
Baby stuff, toys, it was not accurate.
It's the decor that fucked me up.
Yeah.
It looks like
it was
it's a
dark.
Sims house.
It does.
The Sims.
It was a downloadable house on The Sims.
You saw it.
Honestly, if you had a bunch of baby stuff everywhere, that could have easily taken care of that problem because your eye is just going to go straight to all the baby stuff all over the counter because
It was
it's so bright and
all
so
concentrated, like with the crib, and then like.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't believe that.
None of this is
It
realistic.
literally looked like a shitty set. I'm like,
Yeah.
You saw it.
okay.
Yeah.
It was like the one day that they couldn't find all the things that were supposed to go on the set. And they're like, okay, we only have like 7 things for the baby. Let's just put it all in one area.
Or there wasn't a single parent in that department who could be like, no, there should be more shit everywhere.
Yes.
There should be actual shit on the ceiling.
Yes, ma'am.
So Puck shows up. He says he has friends in law enforcement, which is how he knows where she lives. He's like, how do you know where I live?
That's stalker behavior.
And he walks in and is all like, I want to meet her. I want to be in her life. And then Beth wakes up crying.
So Shelby says, no, I don't think it's appropriate just yet.
Like, that was one of the there were 2 sentences in this whole thing that made sense. Yeah. The first one was when she opened the door and she's like, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. And then the second one was when she's like,
lets him
it's
in.
inappropriate. Yeah, that's the yeah.
So like she says these things and then she lets him in. And then he's like, I want to meet her.
She on her Shelby shit.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't think it's right now, or whatever. What is it exactly that she says? Like,
it's not appropriate, yeah.
Yeah. And
I think
then
it was like along, like she doesn't trust him as a person, right? Is that like what she was saying? And he like makes these promises that he'll be better because he is like a shitty person. Like, he made her this
like
fucked up picture. That picture was ugly as fuck. You put it on the refrigerator. Get that shit off the refrigerator.
She's like, parenting is more than just a burst of energy. Being in a child's life requires like commitment.
Which again is a valid thing to say. But then the baby wakes up and immediately they're hanging out with the baby. And I'm like, okay, so you literally transitioned. And the only reason she like agreed to have him actually be in her life was because like, I don't even know, like he smiled at the baby.
He made like a promise that he'd like do right, I guess, right?
I'll do anything that you want as long as I can be in her life.
Yeah.
Like, that's just close to his
unhealthy.
It is, and I don't believe him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Puck is untrustworthy. What else? We don't take anything he said.
But like,
we just
there's
face value.
there's like a weird double standard with her where she's like, I want Quinn in her life, but not you, Puck. It's not appropriate right now.
Because, like, from what we understand, we don't know anything about Puck's current life. Like, he was in juvie, and that was last season, but we don't know if he's been, like, adjusted. Like, we haven't seen him get up to any shenanigans lately. And even late last season, we didn't hear anything about him.
You just wait. The writers have been put him on hold. That's what it feels like exactly sometimes. That we, in the background, they be like, hey, look at me, like, oh, shit.
Yeah, exactly.
There you are.
And this is one of those times where like we're getting these characters at the forefront, like someone who doesn't really get a lot of screen time anymore. And so it's like, but then like we know right now that Quinn is currently bullying people, and presumably Shelby knows this kind of stuff. So why would she want to give? Alyssa's right. Like, why would she give someone who clearly isn't doing right in their life a chance to be in the baby's life? But like,
I mean, I guess we're
fine.
Coming from the perspective that Quinn was okay before this, and we're kind of like, hey, go back to who Quinn used to be, right?
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So it's like that we're trying to nudge her in the right direction, which is, I mean, poor writing, but like, sure.
Is it also just because Shelby made that mistake, quote unquote, is to give her daughter away?
That was another thing is, well, we'll get to it, but like she made the mistake of giving the baby away. So maybe that is why, like, one of the reasons that she connects really to Quinn is that like
reason. It's the biggest one. She literally said it.
Right. So,
so
this
she
is
really
another thing where I'm like, she's not doing any of this for Beth. She's doing it because she wants to do it for herself.
Yes, 100%. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, 100.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he puts up the ugly picture on the fridge. He holds back.
There's a misspelling. It's to Beth, and it's with 2 O's, and that's incorrect.
Oh, sick.
So he doesn't even meet senior level reading levels, and that's not a good sign. Please,
Is
someone
he a
put him
senior?
into literacy.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're all seniors now, yeah.
I know he's actually 45 years old, but yes, he's a senior.
100% this man is old as hell. You look at him like you're a
Okay, but
teacher.
you guys
Yeah.
know for sure, like, you've been in college. College isn't even up to, like, college reading level. Like, you guys were in the writers, whatever. What was your job again?
What school you go to?
Writing
Elizabeth? 'Cause
center.
Me and Cullen went to Oakland and we was chilling. We was writing just fine. We knew the difference between T-O and T-O-O.
Oh, like,
Oh.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
But when
Okay.
I took, so I was required to take a basic writing course in college.
Yeah,
or
like
college
composition.
writing, right?
Yes,
And
everyone
it
does.
was the most boring thing I'd ever done because it reminded me of like freshman year in high school, and I'm like, how are you
I
not
think
knowing
it
this right now? But
varies from college to college, but typically you would either have to take like 2 semesters depending on like your writing scores,
Yeah.
or 1 semester. I only had to take 1
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
my score
same.
was high enough.
Same,
But
same.
some
Shut the fuck
schools
up.
they
I had to take
some
2.
schools they do some schools make you do 2, just in general. But so yeah, like, but the things that like Puck clearly doesn't even meet 8th grade reading level. So it's like,
okay, do you know how many people I've read like and get two mixed up? It's real bad. Like that might be a
That's true.
reading
Social
level,
comment.
but
That's
I
true.
think
You're right.
It's pretty realistic.
I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes I have to just think about it. I'm like, wait, which 2?
And you only have to take
No,
1
that's
semester.
true.
I believe you, Cullen.
English is a very confusing language.
He's lying.
yes. No, that's a good point. I guess I'm just putting too much of like, I know Puck slacks off and he probably isn't very bright. So that's wrong of me.
Real,
but it's probably right.
Like, reading level is not a requirement for being a good father. It's just not.
Maybe not being
That's
a
true.
rapist like Puck is.
Hey,
Right.
Puck. Oh yeah.
That's
Never
what I want
mind.
to see. I want to see Quinn come up to Shelby and be like, you know what? Listen, this is what happened. Maybe she doesn't quite know that she was technically raped, but like she could be like, this is what happened. He gave me wine coolers. He got me drunk, and then he pressured me into having sex, or he conned me into having sex, and then she could be like, okay, I definitely don't want this guy anywhere near my child. Like, and like that would be that would make sense.
This is Glee.
It is
Yeah.
Glee, and then like the times as well. I don't know.
Mhm.
I feel like they never acknowledge it, even in the show, as it being like
No,
No,
awful.
it definitely
it
is
happened
not.
in a 45-second tiny universe,
And then it ended up like
and then
being together for a minute, right? Am I not mistaken?
yes,
Fucking yeah.
they were flirting and throwing baking supplies on each other. I'll never forget
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I was literally like, I can't believe this is happening. He literally assaulted you. Like, he took advantage of you. I'm fine. I'm fine.
All right. So then Puck tells Quinn, he comes into the girls' bathroom. He's like, I'm in here all the time. The toilets are cleaner.
Gross.
And
I mean, to be fair, that's probably true.
True. Well, I don't know. The
I
girls'
don't
bathrooms, even at my
even-
school,
He
We're
didn't
so
say
awful.
clean. He said cleaner. You gotta
True.
hear that.
I've heard,
That's that
I've heard
vocab,
legitimate
the
horror
English.
stories.
Intro to English
Yeah.
before you're in there.
I hear the men's room is like real bad.
when I was in
Nasty.
RA on like a floor with like a shared bathroom, I would sometimes open the stall and be like, I've been going to the bathroom 20 years. I don't know what situation creates this.
Oh.
yeah, right.
How does
You're
this
like,
happen?
I've run the spectrum of bathroom, and I don't know why this has happened.
Yeah, like what? So I guess he has a point. Gross. So then we cut to Shelby and Sugar, and they're she's having
Sorry.
Sugar's rehearsing, and she's terrible.
Yeah.
She's
She's
awful.
also clearly the only person in that new show
Glee club.
choir group.
100%. We're the
Which is
wrong
like, you can't
people.
do anything. You can't do any competitions.
No, I don't. Why? I don't understand what this is.
But you
She
can't
just-
get anyone
why
to join
didn't-
Glee Like, what's different about this club? Like, I don't know.
All it is money for the school, because that's what Figgins wanted. And this Almada dude is just letting his daughter do whatever she wants.
But I feel like people with money are the types of people who hold on to it the most. Is that not a real thing?
We can get into how our society, how the rich hoard their wealth.
Know, right?
No, but what I'm saying is, would it not be cheaper for him to just hire a vocal coach for his daughter instead of donating to school?
She just wanted to be a part of the club.
His aim is he wants. Yep. She wants to be in a singing club.
And Shelby is the coach, right? So she gets a coach all rolled into one. She was like helping her out. And she's like, okay, you take a break.
The best.
You take a break. Because like, obviously, that shit had me dead.
She's like, do you hear the difference in what I just said? She's like, yeah, I sounded better. And I'm like,
okay, so
I definitely think she's tone deaf.
I am going to have to agree with that. Because she literally was like, do you hear the difference? And she's like, yeah, I was better. And I'm like, no.
She's delusional. I don't know if she's delusional.
Yes, that too.
It's kind of like drifting into like not reality. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And she's like, I'm going to catch up on My Strange Addiction episodes. You take a break.
Yeah, you take a break.
And then Quinn shows up and is like, I know Puck got to see her. I want to see her. And she's like, not until you clean up your act. I did this too when I gave up Rachel. She's like, I did right by my daughter, which is sacrifice, which is what being a mother is.
Which did she really do right by Rachel?
So what is she even saying there? Because she's saying like, I did right by my daughter. So she's saying, okay, Quinn, you did the right thing by giving your daughter to me and giving away your daughter. But then she's also saying, you know, I went through this phase. Like, is she saying like that phase wasn't okay? Like, she clearly came out of it on the other side. Like, what she should do is be like, this is how you can get out of this phase. This is how I got out of this phase. Like, if you want to continue your unsolicited advice, like, give her something helpful. Be like, I went through this phase. Here's how I handled it.
I don't know.
Maybe
Shelby
this
still
can
needs
help
some work,
you.
though, Hannah.
True.
Shelby's
I mean, she grew her hair back. She doesn't have the Sinead O'Connor cut anymore. But that's the thing, is that like she's blaming her for going through the same kind of phase that she did, but then praising her for being like, yeah, you did the right thing by giving away your daughter. But like, clearly she's having a lot of emotional turmoil about this and maybe a lot of other things, and she's not offering any sort of help. Like, or even just maybe like, hey, maybe you should go see the counselor.
Just like in the sense of to change without like giving any.
Go see an adjusted adult.
100. Ooh. Better go to the auto shop.
Go to Emma's therapist. Go to the auto shop. Go to Bird. That's free.
Go to Bird.
And then go to Emma's therapist, who clearly did a lot of good work for her. So go to Emma's therapist.
Yes.
Someone pointed out when I was like writing the notes for this episode and I was looking at the Glee Wiki page that in the pilot it says Rachel's like, my dad selected my mom from like IQ and stuff. So like Shelby was selected to have a daughter. Quinn had like an unplanned pregnancy. So
that's interesting. So
their situations are so different.
Wait.
So wait a second.
Is that an inconsistency?
No. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's an inconsistency.
It is.
It has to be inconsistency.
Didn't Shelby tell her story about like getting pregnant on accident?
I think she did.
She did.
Season 2, right?
Yeah, so either Rachel's dad lied to Rachel, or which that could happen.
That would be interesting.
Okay, was it?
That would be really interesting.
What did Rachel say? I'm trying to make this make sense. You said that she chose her because of her IQ?
Yeah, they selected her from like possible surrogates based on like IQ.
Like a catalog. Essentially, yeah. No, I do remember that.
That's weird.
But also, if you think about like season 1, we know, because we've seen the show already, Cullen, that her dads don't look anything like the picture of her dads that we see in season 1.
Yeah.
So that is an inconsistency that may have carried over, or that could be a really interesting opportunity for some more Rachel traumatization, if we so wanted to do that.
So, Quinn rejoins the New Direction. Quinn rejoins the New Directions.
Ugh.
She dyes her hair blonde.
Yeah.
She goes back in her little dress with her cross.
Gang.
And she's like,
White dress, cross necklace.
and she's like, "This. I heard this booty camp was for people who wanted to win nationals and needed to work on their dancing. Sign me
Girl.
up." And she's like, "Welcome back." And even though she had earlier this episode said she never rejoined, and then she lines up with Puck, and Puck's like, "I'm glad," and she's like, "I want Beth in my life. We're gonna get full custody.
That's crazy.
I'll do anything, even if I have to go back to being my previous self. I'll do anything to get full
It's
custody
just
of Beth."
not how adoption works.
And
No.
this came about because Shelby showed her fucking face
100%.
Yep.
and talked to her
100%.
and she just literally got the only idea of being in Beth's life. That was the idea she planted, and that grew into, you know what? No, I'm her mom. You're not her mom. I want that baby back.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, you're a child. You gave her away for a reason.
Yeah.
Please remember
You're
that
clearly
reason.
unhinged.
Please go see a therapist, see an adjusted adult.
This is clearly
Please
like
help yourself.
It's a teenage rebellion. It's literally
Yes.
like
It
when
feels
your
very
mom
much like-
says,
It's like, oh,
"Yeah,
okay, look,
don't do this." And you're
Let's
like,
say
"I'm
that she
gonna do
gets the baby. It's like, oh shit, wait, I gotta take care of it. Like, girl, think it through. What are you even talking
No,
about?
yeah, this is obviously a decision that she's making just because she's a teenager.
She's a
and
teenager,
wants to
and it's like a whim, and it's like, oh,
contrary.
yeah, a contract for sure.
And she's
I'm
also
an
kind of
idiot.
pissed off that Shelby came in and was like, you know what, let me tell you how to be in your life. And she's like, no. I'm going to make a decision for me. And this was the decision she came to because of all this bullshit that she's going through that people are just making worse for her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's also the show wanting to make Quinn a villain again. So they're like,
Yes.
okay, we made
This
Quinn.
is very villainous.
You see
Like,
the face
This
she
is the
made?
most villainous
at
thing she's
Puck.
done.
yes.
It was
Like,
hilarious.
this is Terri-villainous. This is Terri-villainous.
Yeah.
Wearing
This
a Terry
is, I
Schuster.
feel like this is worse than Terry because Terry's unhinged and Quinn is she's like a little bit unhinged, but she's more
With it.
with it.
What
yeah.
does it say that an adult in the show is less unhinged than the teens?
I mean,
Psychological problem.
I don't want to unpack that.
Mhm.
Terry got some mental issues, bitch.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
that. Whatever. I wish I was on this shit in the first season. I would have been tearing Terry a fucking apart. She was crazy as fuck. Anyway.
Oh
Can I
my
just
God, yeah.
point out here that I was totally right when I said that Quinn was going to have to change back to the way she was so that she could get back into Glee.
One hundo.
Yes, you
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yes, I called it. I feel so proud of myself.
And the reason why she's going back to Glee is part of this whole ruse that she wants to play.
Mhm.
But she's going to fall back in love with it. I guarantee. I honestly don't remember, but I'm going to assume that's what's going to
That's what's
happen.
always
Either that or she's
happens.
going to
No one-
jail.
Yeah. Quinn.
You forget all
they're
the good
like-
times they have in Glee. It's fucking stupid.
Quinn
Sorry.
season 1, they're like, she's the villain because she's with Finn. And then season 2,
And
they're like,
is pregnant by someone
And
else
just-
and
Yeah,
knowingly.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yes.
I was like, don't forget that shit. Cullen, you glossed over it.
And so she was a villain. And then season 2, it's like, she'll just be the basic popular girl villain. And then
Yes.
season 1, they're like, or season 3, they're like, let's go back to season 1 and
But
make
make it
her
worse.
Make it a
a
little more, yeah.
psychotic villain.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's just stretching what we'll believe is possible
It's like you're
to
getting
make
into
Quinn
like
villainous.
Glee hates women. Said it
That's
once,
what
I'll
my
say it
friend
again.
said.
Glee hates
They were
women.
like,
Mhm.
hates
Hates
women.
women.
All the women characters are awful. Something's wrong with them,
Mhm.
like extremely wrong.
Really, only the men get somewhat of arcs. Like, Puck
Yeah,
has
yeah.
kind of had an arc. And that's
Yeah.
bullshit.
And he doesn't even have that much
And he hasn't
screen
even
time.
atoned. He has not atoned for anything that he's done.
No.
Except for going to juvie because he was stealing stuff. That's it. That was all off camera.
Mhm.
And then the adults are talking about Quinn joining Glee Club, and Will's like, I guess your ad doesn't work. And Sue is like, well, I'm up in the polls, and Quinn has relapsed. She's addicted to the arts.
Which is
And so
funny,
that just helps
though.
my case.
Because Shu talked earlier, which it was like the earlier episode where they were like, oh, the really stupid sort of like argument that the grades and like arts somehow matter. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't make it like sports where you have to like keep good grades to be in the arts. whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then he goes like, less substance use. And I'm like, that's funny because it feels almost full circle. I don't think Glee is like intelligent, like the writing is intelligent enough for it to come full circle like that. But I make that connection like, oh, she's addicted to Glee, and thus less substance use amongst people in the arts. I don't know. It was funny to me.
Yeah.
I like naughty is not that clever, but it's fine.
So I have a note that kind of gives Glee a lot of credit, and I don't know if the credit is really deserved.
Probably
but
not.
like when they're in the teachers' lounge talking, and Sue's like, you know, people think that the arts are privileged. It's for, you know, the rich people. It's like self-absorbed, and there's a really interesting dichotomy of her saying that. And really in this scene, in this episode specifically, we've actually seen that to be true. We've seen Rachel literally say it like, I'm going to be self-centered. We've literally seen Sugar and her privilege and money get her an up with the arts.
Mm-hmm.
We've literally seen Kurt with like just like his ability to be on the stage. Like there's a lot of sort of agreeing with what Sue's saying, and also like the fact that like maybe it doesn't actually help people. Like with Quinn, she's like rebelling, and like it didn't really actually help her from what we can tell.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's a lot of the episode actually agreeing with that point, but also fighting back on it.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that point was actually interesting because I think
her whole thing, she said Americans take that, right? Like,
well,
I don't know.
Yeah, but if you really think about it, like when there's not enough resources to go around, and you don't have shelter, and you don't have food, and you don't have, you know, things to keep
basics
alive. Yeah, the arts really aren't helpful. Like,
yeah,
no,
and
like, go jump off a cliff. I don't want a musical theater program. I would like to have lunch, please.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's interesting.
Yeah, so she's making a point, but also she's kind of like not making a point because that's not the point, or that's not the space in which this Glee program lives, you know?
Right.
Like,
well, it kind of does. It does, because actually he's fighting for funding for the Glee Club when they actually don't have toilet paper. That's why Figgins took that check. They don't have toilet paper.
That's so questionable.
They also have really bad test scores. They have some really struggling students, aka Brittany, among many others. So they actually lacked some of that, and I think that's why Sue is succeeding, is because, and that's obviously a theme, because that geometry teacher last episode literally was like, ugh, those Glee kids, the arts, they're just, you know, everyone's so self-obsessed, and they're just, you know, they think they're above everything. That's clearly a theme going to be through this season, that like, I mean, there's a privilege with the arts that is there, of course, but it does sort of combat against, you know, what people consider to be the basic necessities and what you need. But obviously, like we talked about, how some people are just really good at the arts, and if they don't have it, if they're not good at other things, then, you know, what can they succeed at in the school?
Well, if there's no toilet paper, they need toilet paper. That needs to be coming from somewhere. Not sure if it has to come from the Glee Club, because
then Sugar's dad,
Cheerios.
Wait, that was the thing, though, right? Sugar's dad like gave money, and
but he wanted that in return. He wanted arts in return.
So then maybe the arts are helping.
I know. So it seems very contradictory for Sue to be on his side, and then for him to be like, let's do this, instead of like him putting money into like the cheer team, right? And she was like, oh, okay. And then Sue was like, okay, come on the cheer team. And he like throws money at the cheer team. That would have been interesting to me, but whatever.
Yeah, actually, that would have been really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's literally like the show agreeing with itself and then also combating against itself. And I don't necessarily want to like give it credit, but it is interesting.
I mean,
I don't know what
the
he's
show
trying
within
to say.
itself, you have people against each other. So I don't think that's like necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
So it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's not like it matters either way or the other. You have people combating, bumping heads, throughout the whole thing. So it's like, whatever.
I mean, the entire socioeconomic question of whether the arts actually contribute to society at that level is interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
I will argue having anything after-school activity is going to help regardless. It's going to keep you from doing other things you're not supposed to be doing. It's going to keep you busy, and it looks good on a
like
couch.
smoking cornstarch out of a pipe.
Period. A toy pipe, right?
Yeah.
So let's get to the main storyline of the episode. Kurt.
That was a lot of like smaller storylines. My gosh.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, let's get to the big shit. Damn.
I actually almost forgot that this happened.
Kurt.
Yes.
The president thing?
Yeah, so Kurt is running for president, and Brittany comes up to him and is like, I really look up to you. You're the biggest unicorn, and I want to run your campaign. And he's like, I'm a unicorn. And she's like, yeah, whenever a pony does a good deed, it gets a horn and becomes a unicorn and poops cotton candy until it forgets its magical, loses its horn, and becomes a horse again. Black unicorns become zebras. And he's like, well, that's terrifying story.
It was so pure. This whole story with Brittany specifically was just, there was something very lovable about it. It made me want to run for class president.
Oh, I have never wanted to run for class president, nor will I ever try to.
It's still problematic to me that, of course, they're doing this at the beginning of senior year and they didn't do it the year before. Anyway.
Okay. Because, I said, I'm like, this is late.
Yeah. It's like, who's currently running your class right now? What's going on? They have a student government shutdown?
So stupid. Oh my God. Okay.
So Brittany wants to manage his campaign, and she creates all these posters that are all like pink and full of rainbows. They're like, you're the biggest unicorn. And he's like, riding a unicorn, and she's like, we're gonna give everyone goodie bags called Kurt's bulging pink sack.
Crazy.
Pink fun sack.
Pink fun sack, and they're full of like ruby slippers and.
Yeah.
Where did they get that money?
Honestly,
paper.
I honestly thought that Brittany had taken stuff from Kurt's room and just put it into the bag.
That's funny.
I think
Probably.
that's what she did, because it looked like, I thought it was like a DVD and like something else, and I'm like, that looks like stuff that probably was just in Kurt's room.
Funny.
And he's like, oh, this is all a little too gay. She's wearing like a little unicorn hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it says gay, 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 gay. I should have a sign in front of me that says that. And she's like, you need a long extension cord, but I'm all for it.
I loved that. That was so like, and then he's like, I wasn't being serious. And she's like, okay, well, like if you're going to do a joke, like nudge me in the ribs or something.
And then he's like, he pulls up this poster of him in a suit, and it's like
very 007.
It's like
yes.
It's like subdued. It's like when Judy Garland modeled for her fur coat, and she took it off the set. And she's like, that is boring.
I agree.
It was pretty boring.
It was. Can we just discuss Brittany's campaign plan right now? Because let's be honest, if you ran that campaign in high school, you would get voted in so quick.
I have to agree. Like, I kind of feel like people would be into that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. They would be. And not only because it's a joke, because people always love to vote for the biggest joke on campus, but also it's just in your face. You see it. You remember it. That's literally what a campaign is.
Mm-hmm.
And if that school is like 45,000 kids large, as we discussed last week, because it's a big ass school, like they're gonna need to vote for someone they remember, and like you're not gonna forget that poster.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I can't forget it now.
I just see Kurt. I dreamt about him riding that
with
unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Kurt and Blaine are in booty camp. And they're like, what audition songs are you doing? And Blaine's like, I can't decide between Maria or Something's Coming. And Kurt's like, those are both Tony songs. And Blaine is talking out of his ass. He's like, oh, I'm a junior and only a senior should get the lead. So I'm auditioning for Bernardo or Officer Krupke. And I'm like, then why are you singing 2 Tony songs? Blaine.
That's funny.
Yeah, so he clearly was gonna plan because he was like, because Kurt's like, oh, are you gonna audition for Tony? He's like, oh, I mean, I can, but maybe because you're a senior, and he kind of like walks back on it.
Yeah,
but
it was more like he was
very much
planning
like,
on auditioning
I don't
for
know.
Tony.
Kurt's reaction maybe was like, oh, he's like, oh shit, maybe this isn't a good thing. I don't know.
He wanted permission, and he didn't get it.
Kurt should have gave him permission to do it. It felt very like selfish for Kurt because Blaine is better. Are we there yet? I want to talk about how much better Blaine is than Kurt.
Not yet.
Also,
hold it in.
going back to like what you said about him being selfish, can we also just remember that literally last episode, he pressured Blaine into switching schools.
It's crazy.
But like
we know it had to happen for the show, right? But like the storyline should have been so much better. Like my friend and I toggled with the idea of like Blaine's parents couldn't afford for him to go to that. Why would you move to a less prestigious school? Like no one's gonna go to a less credible school. Are you stupid? Like,
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that's dumb. I don't even know how to like explain how stupid that was. Okay.
That sort of decision is like the type of decision that people make when they're going to college.
Also,
like
they're in high school. Blaine's parents was like, sure, you sound dumb. No. How did that conversation go? I don't know.
So like literally as selfish as that is, not even a couple weeks later maybe, he's basically pressuring Blaine not to audition for a role because he thinks he deserves it.
I did like that Kurt was very aware of how awful like things could turn out because Blaine, he's like, oh, the resentment, it's awful. And he's like, oh, I'm with someone I love and that's like what I want.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, at least you acknowledge that, but also those things can still happen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's not gonna stop
Acknowledge it all you want. It could start happening right now.
The whole
It's gonna start
conversation,
happening.
it was like a red flag for codependence.
100%. It's like,
That's really interesting that you say that.
literally, you don't need to be next to each other all the time.
Yeah.
What?
Well, and this is step 2 of their toxic journey, because I know a lot of this talk in the fandom talks about how Klain, or as we want to call them, Blurt, gets really
blurters.
gets really toxic eventually. This is like their step 2, because he's already trying to diminish Blaine for his own needs. He wants Blaine to just be a friend.
You want Blaine to come down from a girl. Y'all ain't got no toilet paper. That's fucked up. Like you got him coming to this fucking school. You ain't got no toilet paper. Your test scores fucking suck. That's so fucked up. And then you don't want him to go for this role that he's gonna. We're gonna get there because I'm ready. Shit, I got my nose. God damn it. Hurry up, Cullen.
So Kurt auditions for West Side Story for the male lead by singing a Barbra Streisand song.
Stupid.
He's a dumbass. I literally was
He's
like,
an idiot.
So, okay, Kurt knows that he is more effeminate. He knows this. He knows that his voice is more effeminate. He knows this. That's his range. Great. But if you're going to audition for a romantic lead, I hate to say it, but I feel like Kurt plays the victim card a lot in this episode, even though I understand his struggle and I think it's valid that they're talking about it. But the fact is that he kind of should have known this already, because he's already kind of gone through this. Like,
it's all okay. What it feels like what he didn't know right now was who he was auditioning for.
On period.
This wasn't an audition for Tony.
No, this was an audition for Maria.
Exactly.
Like, that's what I was like, what are you doing? Like, like he's obviously seen West Side Story. So it's kind of like, okay, why aren't you trying? Like, that he needs to be more masculine,
That's crazy to me.
He knows this.
And this is me. I don't know anything about the arts. No, go ahead. Sorry.
A woman's song is definitely a noticeable thing. You know, it's definitely what's the word I'm looking for? Like a
way to make you stand out.
Yes, it's definitely going to make him stand out in the audition process, but it's going to be a tiny audition process, Kurt. Like, seriously. And he's playing to his strengths. He's not actually challenging himself. So I think that's also part of it.
And then wait, Cullen, you're going to bring this up. I'm bringing it up. He goes to his dad and talks about like, like I'm not that. And he's like, well, I'm supposed to be like this, an actor who's supposed to like have this rank. Well, then fucking show us, man. We're not going to pretend to see that you got this swag that you don't fucking have. Are you dumb? Are you dumb?
Yes. I agree. It honestly, it feels like a giant oversight. Like, just like last episode where like they wanted to go to NIADA without a single credit. They're fucking stupid. They also didn't know that school existed. They didn't do their research.
That's so crazy to me. Let's go to Juilliard. You don't fucking know that Juilliard doesn't have a performance art. Dumb shit. You're a senior. You sound dumb.
They got stupid. I know what school I was going to as a junior. You sound dumb. It's crazy to me. Yeah, it's all crazy. It's thrown. It feels very much like the writer's like, oh shit, we forgot about the class president shit. Yep.
Throw it in there. Get it in the first 2 episodes. Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally.
Like no one's gonna give me this chance to be in this as this sort of person, and I'm like, you literally just got a chance. It's called an audition, and
it's
you
literally
didn't do it.
The audition.
Yeah.
He tries. First, okay, he cheats. Sorry, Cullen, if I'm like taking up. He cheats by listening in, right? Mm-hmm. And then tries to backtrack, like, oh shit, look, I'm Romeo, and B start laughing, which is kind of fucked up. Everyone's laughing, and I'm like,
so he got the first chance, and then he got the second chance, and he fucked it up again.
Mm-hmm.
Privilege. That's what I was gonna say. Kurt's privilege that he got to audition twice. Technically, Rachel did too.
Mm-hmm.
So
why the hell did he choose Romeo and Juliet?
Because he thought that was like the most romantic, like the role that people knew. Like,
that's kind of what West Side Story is based on. It's sort of an homage to that.
I know that West Side Story is based on Romeo and Juliet, but Romeo and Juliet doesn't.
Romeo and Juliet does not
masculinity.
Yes, I was just gonna say it doesn't help his cause.
But yeah, it does not help his cause.
But one thing that I think,
right?
Kurt,
that's the whole reason he was trying to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that Kurt did in his song, we can quickly get back to that. What did he sing again?
I'm the greatest star.
I'm the greatest star. Which obviously they picked because one, they knew that the actor could do it. I mean, they as in the writer, and two, they also are doing it because it is exactly what Kurt needs to say at that moment in terms of the story. Like, he needs to actually say, like, you should pick me because I am versatile. That's what the song is about.
Climbing scaffolding. He's twirling knives.
He's doing everything except what he needs to do.
I don't give a fuck.
Which is clever.
I didn't see. Sit your ass.
Which is clever that Kurt's doing all of these things. He's singing a song that's about, I will do anything.
Sure.
But he doesn't do the thing he actually needs to do.
And he doesn't. But and we don't believe he can do it. Which is fucking stupid. Yeah. So show us that you can.
Yes.
And he get laughed at.
That's kind of what I definitely felt for him. But it did.
That was fucked up. Why she laughing at that point?
The teachers laughed.
Yeah, B started that shit. B was like, oh shit, y'all see this motherfucker down the really Romeo. I was fucked up. I was like,
yeah. And then we're kind of like skipping ahead, but I guess it's fine.
Go ahead.
Right? Helen, do you want to?
So the quick recap for our listeners. Kurt listens in after the audition, and he hears them talking,
but like outside the window, right?
Yeah, Kurt is lurking outside the window. Like he loves to do.
Loves a lurk.
He loves a good lurk.
Loves a lurk. That should be a T-shirt. Kurt loves a lurk.
Yeah. He lurked a couple times in that episode.
Yeah.
He also lurks so much. I missed his lurking.
And Beast is like, I don't think Kurt can do it. He's supposed to be a gang leader. And Emma's like, he's supposed to be a poet. I think.
Wait, no. Beast said that he didn't stir her lady parts. I was like, wait.
Yeah,
Are teenagers
terrible.
supposed to be stirring their lady parts?
He is underage. She's not supposed to be storing shit in you.
Yeah, it literally just like when she said that, I was like,
Yikes.
more inappropriate stuff.
And then the Jewish Puerto Rican thing that she also said about Rachel, which I was like, yikes, what are you doing?
I wish they would have said, didn't we talk about last time how Natalie Wood was Jewish, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I wish she would have just said that, thrown out a history fact instead of something that was very
Glee
inappropriate.
is not that clever though, Hannah. You know that.
You right.
You know this.
Yeah, so she's
I
like,
give it so much credit. I'm like, I wish they would have done that, and everyone's like, no, they wouldn't have.
Gleeboot. So we're just gonna do it better later. It's fine.
Yes,
Exactly.
yeah, because she's like, Rachel's Jewish, which I like for Maria. And they're talking, but Emma's like, what about Mercedes? And they're like, oh, she's also not white, which I like for Maria. And then, Hannah, you look like you're about to say, okay.
There's just like, they talk about like this diversity casting, and then just like makes me think of like the Glee Club in general, how like there's literally like anyone who's like person of color rarely gets time on screen, and when they do, it's like for like the dumbest stuff or the weakest stuff.
And then Artie mentions like colorblind, like I'm like, this is so. It's tone deaf itself. It's on some sugar shit. Like, dude, you don't understand. Like, that's so stupid. Why would you even say that? This show.
Yeah.
Why we watch this?
Let's stop the podcast. It's over.
So Artie is like, he talks about colorblind casting, and he's like, he doesn't think Kurt can pull off Tony. And Kurt hears this and is like,
oof.
Oh, I want to audition again. And but first he's walking down the hall feeling dejected, and he sees that Brittany has started putting up the unicorn posters. And he sees her and Santana putting them up, and he like starts ripping them off the walls and is like, what are you doing? I told you not to put these up. And I thought we agreed on my poster. And Brittany's like, that poster made me sad.
Yeah.
This poster makes me happy. And he's like, this is not what I agreed on. Take all these down. And then he's like, Rachel, I need help with a last minute audition. And she's like, say no more. And they run off. And Brittany's like, he didn't like my plan. And Santana's like, who cares what he thinks? You're special. You're a unicorn.
Which was super sweet, and I was expecting, because Brittany is a unicorn, and I was just waiting for someone to say it.
Yeah.
And I was glad it happened.
So then Kurt does the Romeo and Juliet audition, where he dressed up in full costume.
Both of them did, and I want to know where Rachel got that dress.
They ain't got no toilet paper
in her closet.
Oh yeah, that's probably true. She went home in the middle of the school day and came back with her dress.
Yep.
She learned the lines in like 10 minutes. She said some shit like that. Like, girl,
she's like, I'm completely off book. And so they start rehearsing, and then B starts laughing. And then, first Emma says, are we seeing any more ethnic Marias today? And Artie is like,
I missed that.
Yes.
Artie's like, that's inappropriate. And it's like, the lines that you draw, Glee. We're suddenly like, this is inappropriate.
Okay. You can acknowledge it now.
They walk back on it all the time.
You know they do what they do.
I drew a line here, and I drew a line here, and I drew a line here, and I stepped
they're like,
down all
we're
of
gonna cross
them.
this line, but then we're gonna walk back because we don't want to cross this line.
Get the fuck.
That's what they do. Is they're like, you know what? We can say anything we want as long as we have the character be like, oh, you can't say that. That's some white privilege right there.
On period. Oh, Hannah, you became my favorite person. Hey, listeners, I'm Jasmine. I'm black. I'm sorry. I just needed to know. Like, so I needed Hannah to say that. You know what I'm saying?
And so they're doing Romeo and Juliet. B starts laughing, and then Emma's telling her to stop, and then Artie starts to laugh, and then Emma starts to laugh.
Because Artie is the first one who laughs because Kurt says, something about being masculine. And he's like, I'm going to do this because I want to, show that I have a masculine side. And and he laughs first, and then
I think
Emma like looks at him, and then when he starts performing, he starts laughing. So really, Artie kind of started it because Emma. Because I remember
Your
that.
Glee boyfriend.
Fuck him. I'm breaking up with him.
My boyfriend doesn't exist on the show anymore, so you know.
He moved out of state.
He did.
I was so sad. He's also my boyfriend. Well,
I had to bring him back.
liked him. Yeah. He was like the most likable guy, really, next to...
He was.
A golden retriever.
Mike. Yeah. He was adorable. I really thought he was so
Mike
cute.
is good.
Mike is good. I would have been happy with Mike as well.
Well,
in those arms.
Getting back on topic.
Yeah, we're back. Sorry.
Basically, what they did was really rude and uncalled for.
So sad.
And unprofessional in an audition.
Unprofessional as teachers and unprofessional in an audition.
Yes.
Like it's double.
I think it was because it's Kurt.
Like,
and everyone wanted to laugh.
It's not a masculine presentation, but it's also not
I didn't think it was bad
rendition of Romeo. Like,
I think it was a bad choice, but I don't think his yes, he put on an affectation for his voice, but like I bought it. I was like,
I did too.
okay.
I bought
it. Didn't
like,
sound unnatural.
I was like, yeah, I'm buying this. So it felt very, and thus it felt super mean that he was doing pretty well and that they still laughed at him.
Yeah.
And then Rachel laughs when he goes to kiss her.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm so sorry, you can kiss me. And then he runs off.
Which makes no sense. Like, do they not rehearse that? And they're just like, okay, we'll do that on the day. Yeah. So
she did this in 10 minutes. You heard her.
And it seems, it was 10 minutes. So like,
they didn't kiss each other.
They're like, we're going to do it on the day. That's what
honestly,
they said.
This is Glee.
I can't see.
They wrote a song for Natural Today before. Why are you surprised? Hannah? This is on par.
I know that's the point you keep going back to. They wrote the song the day before the competition.
I'm still mad. Fuck. Oh, shit.
Rachel, as a professional actress, would never do that. She would never forgive herself if that happened on stage.
Yeah.
It was just...
She felt fine because they were laughing and she was like, ah. She got like tickled as well. So
I don't understand. Like, it just makes no sense. It kind of felt like the writer's hands because they needed this to happen. They needed Kurt to feel humiliated for some reason. Yeah. Like, it was hard to watch because I felt for him.
Should have made his performance a little worse, a little more. I don't know. It just it didn't feel like
maybe he can't even reach a deep voice.
Exactly.
Yeah, his voice cracks or something.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
That's so simple. But even laughing isn't like that's the only point they should laugh at, if anything.
Yeah.
But like,
look at her trying to be masculine. It was fucked up.
Yeah, it's just like, if I was Kurt, I wouldn't fucking be in that production. Like, that's toxic.
He's gonna go ahead and be toxic. Can we go on to Blaine? Is he next?
We're so close. We're so close to Blaine.
I need him.
So he goes back to the auto shop and he's talking to his dad, and his dad's like, "You're feminine. You speak in a high voice and you dress like you own a magical chocolate factory."
And then Kurt's like, "Why are you being mean?" And Bert's like, "I'm not. I'm saying that's who you are. Embrace it." And I was like, yes, Bert is good dad.
You're not a good actor. You can't.
The most adjusted adult.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, yo, Quinn.
Seriously. Yeah, exactly. Emma, have a session with Bert. See how it goes.
Yes.
You're right. He's really the only one who has
sense. He's going to be like, "Emma, you're too uptight. Stop it." And then she'd be like, "He's so right."
He's so right. Girl.
That was a good Emma impression. You like even opened your eyes more.
You know
Sue calls her a marmoset this episode.
Which is pretty accurate. I'm not gonna lie.
She does. She's got those big eyes.
Yes, in the golden hair, and it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, also in this scene, we see Finn and Rachel working on a car together. She's like sitting there handing him stuff, and she's like,
Me too.
The back and forth bullshit. Like, get the
Same.
Ugh. Gag. Are we gagging? You're gagging?
I don't.
Take a sip. Alyssa, gag with me, okay?
It's gone. It's gone. I got rid of it a while ago.
She did it.
Yes, I did it.
She did it.
Good for you.
Love that. Gag anyway. Go ahead.
See, and now I get all of this praise. It's just a constant giving.
I love that. She's setting herself up. I love that.
Yeah. I know what I'm doing.
Okay, good. I love that for you, girl.
So,
Okay, go ahead.
So they're talking
the most annoying couples talking. What are they saying, Cullen?
She's like, you could audition for Tony. He's like, between Glee Club and football.
I agree. No, he couldn't.
I didn't even do a dance number.
There's West Side Story. There's quite a bit of dancing. Am I right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's a dance-heavy musical.
Yeah.
Why they lie to each other? Sick shit.
Yeah, really.
And he's like, what's so bad about working here in the tire shop? Like, I could stay here, make some money for college. And Rachel's kind of like, well, if that makes you happy, but I don't think it would make you happy. I think you want to be an actor and go to NIADA.
I think you want to do what I want you to do.
Yep. She's literally pushing all of this on him.
She is sick, girl.
That is exactly a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then so we get Kurt and his dad, because he's like, what do you want? Why are you here? And Kurt complains. And then Kurt decides to put up unicorn posters in the hall for his election campaign. And they're similar to Brittany's. And he's like, oh, Brittany, look, I'm going with your idea.
Right, because his dad is the one who inspired him to be who he really is. Like,
so
that's the jump there.
So wait, he redid Britney's posters?
Yeah.
Or he was putting up those same posters?
She did. Because
no, he redid it. It's different.
Did he really?
Is it?
She had multiple posters.
I didn't either. I
I'm
thought
wondering...
Santana and Brittany were putting up those posters, and he was like, I don't want this. And then, like, he put up the same posters later because he came to, like, the conclusion, like, his realization. And now he's like, I love these posters.
She has, like, 4 different designs, and I'm wondering if it's one of the ones at the beginning.
A unicorn was riding him in one of them. Don't forget that shit.
I loved that line. I was so fucking funny.
This told down, unicorn's riding you.
So that's interesting. So if he did just put up the ones Brittany did, cool. He's using her inspiration with his dad's. But if it's what Cullen has seen and he redid them,
he's just stealing her idea.
He's stealing her idea and basically giving the inspiration sort of props to his dad, more so than to Brittany. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'll have to go back and watch it.
Between him and Brittany, I thought it was, like, thank you. This was, like, great. And then she, Cullen, that's you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
I keep getting ahead of Cullen. Like, I'm a poor guest. Well, I am also drunk.
Well, she's like, he's like, thank you for the idea. I realize I need to embrace my uniqueness, my magicalness.
He gives her props.
And she's like, she hugs him. She's like, yay, I love my happy, happy unicorn. And he's like, do you want to go after school? Come home after school, do oatmeal facials, talk about Project Runway, and do some campaign strategies. And she's like, actually, I've decided to run for class president myself. I'm going to be my own unicorn, or more a bicorn. And she's like, do you know all the 6 class presidents at McKinley High have been male?
And she's like, where has that gotten us? And I'm like, you're right.
You ain't got no toilet paper, looking stupid. Like,
okay, so at the beginning of the episode, when we first see them together, doesn't Kurt actually say, why don't you just run for president then?
And she says, because I'm too stupid.
I'm too stupid. And it cuts to them being like, what's the capital of Ohio?
Not wrong. Sorry.
And she's like,
she's not wrong.
No, right, exactly. But now there's like a double standard. So like, he doesn't want her to run for president if it's going to be against him.
100%.
I think he was confused as to like why she would even like come to him to offer like to help when like if she has campaign ideas, why doesn't she do it herself? Like she runs. I think he was mostly confused. And now he's facing possibly 2 competitions.
Possibly 2.
didn't
Wait,
want to
elaborate,
be
Hannah.
president at
Possibly
that point,
too?
right?
What?
Possibly too.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Blaine.
When does he
Possibly.
decide to
Get
run?
to.
Blake, it's no
First
competition.
episode.
He lost.
Oh.
That's what I'm getting. Get the fuck. He lost. There ain't no competition. He may as well focus on the presidency because he ain't winning, Tony. That's period. You so stupid. I was watching Blaine like, he doing it. He is Tony.
Yeah. They even dressed him as Tony. Y'all pick up on that?
Yeah, with the red polo.
He did it.
Oh,
Mhm.
I didn't even
They
really
dressed
connect
him
that.
as
Wow.
Tony. Yeah.
Wow.
Brittany is
Or
like.
he dressed himself as Tony.
He did. He was like, oh, I'm not going for Tony, but
I'm clearly the perfect part.
clearly. And then they like, okay, wait, sorry. That's Cullen. I'm done.
Okay, we also missed the part where they ask Brittany who the president is, and she says, "Will I am."
Yes.
Yes.
So.
Which is like, she's so stupid that it's like, you don't even, like it's entertaining, but like,
And
no
people
one's
laugh
this
at
stupid.
her. I think that's the key is that like they laugh at her so they don't really take her seriously. They just
Hundo.
kind of think she's a
Isn't she supposed
joke.
to be class president? Just because she's a girl, you sound kind of dumb. Like, I don't know. It's just not.
Yeah, it's
But we
So,
already
like-
discussed if we're running for high school president, people are going to vote for
the biggest joke.
Yes, the biggest joke.
See, that
And
happened in my high
second,
school.
like,
I can't
whatever
relate.
they did.
They voted
That's
for
true.
the
I
smartest person.
yeah.
Mm.
That's
Can't relate.
but I think in this school
Or when they got to wipe
They-
their ass with their
because
hands.
because they
That's
voted for Kurt for the prom queen. So yeah, I think Liz is right. Like they would vote for whoever they think is the biggest joke in this school.
You're right, because I'm fucking
And
laughing.
whoever is the most visible.
I'm
A lot
laughing.
of times, the class clown is the person who's most visible.
She clown.
Which is
why
She's
they
a
get
clown
voted
as
for.
fuck. She wants some Ronald
That's
McDonald
true.
shit.
Mhm.
Clown.
Yeah. So Brittany is inspired by Santana to run,
Yeah.
and so then we watch Blaine do his Tony audition. He sings "Something's
Ooh.
Coming" from West Side Story, and it's a great cover. He does a great job.
It is. He sounds really good.
He's like catch the moon one-handed catch, and he like throws out his arm, and then Artie like catches it and is like, "Ooh."
That was actually pretty funny. I laughed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Kurt's watching from above. He's lurking. He's lurking and
Again.
He's
watching.
lurking.
In what exactly? Did they have theater boxes? In
Yeah.
that
That's what I was gonna
auditorium?
say. This auditorium is so. Again, they don't have toilet paper, but they have theater boxes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the auditorium in high school had the same thing. Like
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Fancy.
we thought we were like the shit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you guys know Big Sean, right? Big Sean.
Yeah.
He went to our high school, right? So he
Oh, fun.
visited our high school all the time. He put like a studio in there. Like, yeah. Yeah.
He's one of
Goodness.
those guys that goes back to high school and
100%.
hangs out.
He literally, I met him because he came back to our high school. Yeah.
Oh boy! Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool.
It is
'cause he's
really
Big
cool,
Sean,
yeah.
But also, like, he's one of those guys that can't leave high
When
school.
he comes back, like, I'm a big rapper now. Like, I remember the little people. Like, I think that's more of
Yeah.
the thing, right? And he
Okay.
like,
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah, and he like built
Okay.
a studio in school and people record songs
That's
down there.
awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really. It happened after I left, so now I'm like, what the fuck? Hold on, should I? You know, like, you never like, trying to record a song, trying to hit it big, you know, pay for school, shit expensive.
So Blaine, as Jasmine said, there's no competition. Blaine is
Period.
such an amazing Tony.
And then they're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Perfect.
you audition for whoever the fuck, I don't know, these like,
Bernardo and Officer Krupke.
sure.
Mhm.
You ever thought of Tony? And then like, did Kurt like hear that? And Kurt was like,
Kurt lurks up, and I remember seeing this scene when I was in high school. My mom was watching it, and she was like, Kurt's making his prune face. He makes his
Prune?
face all the time that looks like he's eating prunes.
that's hilarious. Show me it. I know the viewers
And
can't
it's
see
like-
it, but I want to see it.
it's like he's like pouting, and like sucking his lips in, like
Yes, he goes
Okay,
like,
why is that a prune face though?
because it's like he ate a bad prune and it's gross, and he's like,
What is a bad prune?
I don't know. It's what my mom
Those are
said.
bad.
Your mom just
Period.
doesn't like prunes.
ugh.
But I love like the drama of like, you ever thought about Tony and it's like, Right.
And then
Bum, bum.
cliffhanger. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the
Exactly.
episode. Any final comment before we get into Tina time?
It should have been enough for Kurt that Blaine wrote on the paper that he wanted Officer Krupke or the other guy, Bernardo.
Well,
That
we'll
should have
see how
been
that plays
enough.
out, because I agree. Because Blaine definitely lived up to his word, and it was really only until he was asked that he possibly made a decision.
Yeah.
So-
But you can already tell. Kurt leaves before Blaine answers, and you can already tell that he's upset. And he shouldn't have been, because Tony deserves that part. I mean,
Blaine deserves. See, look, Blaine is so Tony, you got it all fucked up. Like, that's the whole point. Because Kurt gives Blaine, I swear, like, I haven't watched this, and if episode 3 he gives him any kind of shit, get the fuck out. You don't deserve it. You saw Blaine. You felt your lady parts. I know I felt mine. The fuck? Blaine is Tony. You sound dumb.
so accurate.
So now it is Tina time.
Which we kind of already did.
She has one line.
Yep.
What was the line again? Give it to us, Cullen.
You make short films all the time, Artie.
It's your dream.
The dream.
Yeah.
That's abysmal.
You know, she had 5 last week, so she was really working hard.
Right.
And then, yeah.
They're
So now it's time for our MVP. There are so many characters.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry, Cullen.
It's time for MVPs and LVPs. So Jasmine, who is your least favorite character
Rachel.
this episode? Rachel.
Just like off the bat.
Okay, so
She was so happy about it. She's like, Rachel.
Okay, so Rachel was my least favorite character overall, but in the episode, I think I came in thinking that it was like Quinn, maybe, but then you guys convinced me that it was Shelby, I think. So I'm going to go with Shelby. Generally, it's Rachel, but I'm going to go with Shelby because she is really toxic and she doesn't talk to the people she needs to talk to for these decisions that she makes. My MVP is going to go ahead and be Blaine. I am still feeling his performance.
She's like me with Jonathan Groff with Jesse, because I was like, oh, he's so erotic.
And that's mine.
Hannah, who's your least favorite character?
My LVP is also going to be Shelby because of all the things I said. She's just, she's
sick.
Toxic.
Also Shelby. She's awful. She doesn't know what she's doing with her life. Honestly, she never should have adopted a kid.
Yeah, we said that last time.
Yeah.
When she actually adopted the kid, we're like, what is she doing?
Yeah, she's not mother
She's
material
making up
yet.
for lost bullshit, and then she's not even like.
Yeah, she's making up for lost time with Rachel.
Yeah.
I'm like, this kid is not going to be
She's
Rachel.
also sick. Like, I'm thinking about, like, you're here and you adopted a kid, and I'm the kid that you gave up. It's fucked up. Like, it's fucked up. Don't sing no song with me. Fuck you. You sound
Can
dumb.
you imagine being the adopted kid? Like being like Beth when she's older? Like, the only reason you adopted me is because you didn't have time with your actual daughter. What the
I'm
fuck?
your second chance. You chose to give. You forced the universe to give you a second chance. You sound dumb, bitch.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
Which is
Shelby too for me. Shelby was my LVP.
Shelby's just not
Shelby,
doing
it's like a consensus. I love that.
That
was Shelby. You stupid bitch.
So you loved Blaine. I loved Brittany this episode because we've said it like before that she's just so emotionally intelligent. Even if she's not book smart, she's like the smartest person in the show. She really is. And she was really selfless, just like offering her services, you know, and her ideas to Kurt and wanting to help him just out of the goodness of her heart because she believes in him. I thought that was like really kind of beautiful. And like I actually like was really moved by that because like Brittany's just so like pure and that she just wants to help. And then also the fact that like she got to have that sort of self-realization with Santana's help of like, no, I'm a unicorn too. And you know what? I'm gonna run for president because I believe in these things that I believe in. So Brittany.
Nice.
I love how yours is heartfelt. Mine was like sexy.
You're like,
okay,
yes. That's all I need.
Really hot in this episode.
I do need to acknowledge that.
But also, like, there's the added fact that he's kind of a victim of Kurt's in this episode.
Yeah.
And I was kind of into it. I was like, oh, Blaine, you're really getting the short end of the stick here, and I feel so much for you.
Take Tony.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going with Brittany. I love Brittany. I loved her unicorn vibes. I feel bad that Kurt just kind of dismissed her, even though I kind of get it.
Yeah.
And I like that she came to her own realization.
Yeah.
Half and half split.
Yeah. I think I would agree also with Blaine. Like, out of everyone else, I think he's probably the second, just because like what both of you guys said, like he did really great. He was hot, and like he's really kind of getting into this really tough situation with Kurt, and he's handling it really well.
We've never seen him as like a victim with emotional problems before, and this
You're
is
right. We have it.
interesting.
There's a new approach.
It's interesting to me. I'm excited to see where it goes.
So there were only 3 songs this episode. It was very light on songs. There was Somewhere, I'm the Greatest Star, and Something's Coming. So Jasmine, what was your least favorite song?
I liked all of them. So what's the second? Whatever Kurt did was my least favorite.
Yeah, I'm the Greatest Star.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He's not. My favorite, I think, was Somewhere. I liked all of them, but Somewhere, the duet was very beautiful. I love a good belted note, and if I get that, then I love it. That's just me. Yeah.
Yeah, Rachel, like Leah Michele and Idina Menzel, like the 2 actors, their voices together are like chills.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Like their cover of that Les Mis song.
And I'm frightened because she fast forwarded.
Like I did. I fast forwarded through all 3.
I didn't forget
all 3. I fast forwarded. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I was even bored during Blaine's, even though I did like it. We're doing what worst song?
Yeah.
I actually am gonna say Rachel's song, one that she sung, only because Shelby was there and I was upset about Shelby, and that really colored my very small experience.
I'm glad you're aware because you know that was the better song. You know that it was your emotion that made it like at least good.
Like it was like I know I've heard the actual song in full, but like watching it. And I think because like there's not a lot happening movement-wise in the episode, I was like, I'm so bored, I can't watch this.
That's fair.
But the song is good. It's just Shelby ruined it for me. Not Idina Menzel. She's amazing.
Yeah,
Shelby, the character.
Shelby. Shelby, so down, Shelby.
What was Kurt's song again?
I'm the Greatest Star.
I'm the Greatest Star. So I hated it.
Holy
and I
shit.
think it's more like because of what Hannah was saying, I was unable to take away my emotions from what I was viewing, and I hated the fact that Kurt was being such an idiot, and he had no idea how to audition. Like, I was just angry about it. And that really projected onto the song, and I just really hated his presentation of everything. Like, who needs knives? I don't need to see you up and down the scaffolding. I've never heard the song, and it didn't do anything for me. Nothing.
I'm with you. I'm the Greatest Star was my least favorite, mainly also because Kurt was singing about, like, I want to be Camille, and it's like, Camille isn't Tony. Like, that's... Yeah. It it was so like, Kurt, why do you not know what you're doing? Like, you should be smarter than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Jasmine, what was your favorite song?
My favorite song was Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Blaine. Yeah, I'm gonna say Blaine's song too. The 15 seconds I spent with it was amazing. The best 15 seconds of my life.
Something's coming.
Something's coming.
Oh, something's coming. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Something's Coming because he definitely was the embodiment of Tony, also in costume. And it was just like, Somewhere was good. I remember liking it, but it was not. I tend to go more for the more upbeat songs and not the slower ones. And I just like preferred the energy.
Is all slow songs, except I guess Kurt's was upbeat, but it. Kurt's was
upbeat, but it doesn't match. It just doesn't fit in. It's just so frustrating.
My favorite was Somewhere. I love a ballad, and Rachel and Idina Menzel's voices.
I knew we were friends.
They go well together, and I loved it. I love that song, and I like the cover.
It was beautiful.
So that brings us to the end of our episode today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on, Jasmine.
No
Hope you had
problem.
a good time.
This was so fun. What a Sunday.
This is awesome.
What a Sunday.
Do you have any social medias or anything you'd like us to plug?
I don't use Instagram often, but that would be the only one I plug. Jazzy Moco, that's JAZZYMOCO. Instagram, yeah.
Cool.
Okay,
all right.
cool.
Hannah, do you want to plug our
Somies? We are at Gleeboot Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and then we are gleebootpod.tumblr.com on Tumblr.
Nice. You can follow my new podcast, Wanderers Cove, on Tumblr at Wanderers Cove Podcast, and find Wanderers Cove wherever podcasts are found. You can see me and Allyssa on it.
Yes, we just recorded another episode yesterday, which is pretty fun.
Yay.
And you can follow me on Instagram at a.m.swearingen, SWEARINGEN. I'm always posting like little personal projects and art stuff.
Yeah, you're posting a lot of different D&D characters you've got going on, like NPCs and stuff.
Yep, I posted some of those. I posted some quilts that I did, some miniature paintings, drawings. I'm hoping to start posting some maybe in progress work on a graphic novel that I'm working on. So cool. That's a possibility. Although that might not happen for a while because I just started up work again. So my time is a little bit crunched at this point.
Yes.
But for good reason.
Yes. I am now making money. Always a good reason.
So once again, Jasmine, thank you for being on.
No problem. It's so fun.